Yo, legends! Welcome back to the Ultimate Showdown. It's your boy, Chronos, and we're diving into part 3 of What If Deku Had Ultra Instinct? You know the deal, we keep it hype and keep it rolling. Shout out to Definitely Not TKJ for cooking up this masterpiece. And make sure you show them some love. And to all my incredible legends out there, your support keeps me fired up to bring you the craziest content ever. Buckle up, because this episode is going to be absolutely epic. Let's get that Ultra Instinct energy going. Here we go, Chapter 11. Final round. Begin. You said we need to talk, so naturally I assumed words would be involved. I say while scratching the back of my head. Silence. I can feel his cold, hard stare bore holes into me. It's quite unsettling. So, nice weather we're having. Silence. Did you see that new All Might comic? Silence. Good job in the second round? Silence. I heard Momo likes you and was checking you out. Silence. But his gaze softened just a teensy bit, and if you looked really hard enough, there was a dash of red in his cheeks. However, he did his best to keep his cold, hard stare. Never mind. I think it was Ida. His face goes back to complete coldness with a hint of not-so-secretive rage as well. However, he still remains silent. Man, this guy is a rock, I thought. When we were in the cavalry battle, he began. Finally, he's talking. I thought with an inwardly sigh of relief. Nobody else felt it, but I did. You were holding back, and I could feel the power coming off of you. This kind of power is one I've felt before in All Might. Not the same, but similar. I'd say Uraraka has a more similar power. He deduced. I inwardly started sweating. Okay. That could mean anything. I say while trying to avoid where this is going. You both have continuous success. In training and in school. You both show powers similar to All Might, and it's clear he's in your corner. I'm getting increasingly worried at where this is going. Midoriya. Tell me. No. Are you and Uraraka All Might's secret love children or something? Wait. What? That's like, what? That is wrong so many ways. I get the children part because that makes some type of sense. Except the children part. I will not stand here and be accused of dating my sister. We don't even look related. My face turns red and I stare wide-eyed at Todoroki, who looks as calm as ever. I can sense I made boom boom. That a new one, who's eavesdropping, struggling to keep his laughter in. No, you idiot. I yell out of pure embarrassing and anger. That is offensive. Why would I date my sister? I don't even have a sister, and I wouldn't date her even if I did. Don't ever say that again. He flinched at my tone but quickly regained his composure, as did I. Irrelevant, he began. The point is, you three are connected in some sort of way. Even if you won't tell me, I don't care. All I care about is beating you. As you know, my father is the number 2 hero, Endeavor. And if you're reconnected to All Might in some way, then I have even more reason to beat you. Do you know what quirk marriages are? He asked. Yeah, those are marriages that are arranged for people to create kids with powerful quirks. I reply, correct, he answered. A quirk marriage was arranged for my father and mother. My father had a lot of money, so he bought off her family to get his hands on my mother's quirk. I can only remember images of my mother crying, until one day she couldn't take it anymore. She told me about how my left side was unbearable, and she poured boiling hot water on the left side of my face. My eyes widen at this. So he's been going through torture too. That's why, he began. I'm going to defeat you using only my ice, to show that stupid old man of mine that I don't need his fire quirk, he said with conviction. He then turned to walk away from me, until I disappeared, then reappeared in front of him, stopping his movements. Wait, I said. He looked up at me with his bored, yet still cold expression. If that's why you don't use your fire quirk, you have no chance of beating me, I said with my eyes narrowed. He narrowed his eyes as well. You and me were very similar. We've experienced mental and emotional trauma. We've been abused and driven onto a path of pain and despair. We're so alike, yet so different. With the pain you experienced, you rejected your full improvement and made sure to improve on parts you want, settling for ultimately half of your power. With the pain I experienced, I made sure I made my full power better than anyone else because my power was the cause of my pain as well, but I didn't reject it. That's the difference between us, and that's why you will lose. I have my own reasons for getting to the top, and at the top, 50% won't cut it. I'll make sure of that. I finished as I walked away, leaving Todoroki there. I go to find Ochako and I see her with the girls. I decide to listen in because why not? As I'm listening, I hear what they're talking about. Apparently, us girls are supposed to wear those cheerleading outfits the Americans are wearing. Jiro explained. This got shocked gasps from all the girls. Wait, what? Who said? Shako asked. Mineta told me that Mr. Aizawa told them that. Jiro replied. They all simultaneously blinked. And you believed him? They all except Momo asked. What? Kaminari was with him and he's a trustworthy guy. Jiro defended. You mean Sparky Boy? Mina asked. Yes. Jiro answered with a sigh. But I don't want to wear those cheerleading outfits. They show too much skin. Ochako complained with a blush. Oh, come on. Look on the bright side. You'll have Midoriya drooling. Mina said with a bright smile. You know, I actually… Bad Deku. Bad. I mentally berate myself while eavesdropping. Ochako's blush became bigger. Stop it, Mina. Deku wouldn't stare at me like that in public. Ochako said. Mina got a devilish grin on her face. In public. Ochako's blush turned crimson as she covered her hands with her face. She didn't immediately float because with One for All, her quirk evolved into gravity manipulation rather than zero gravity. But still, due to her nervous state, she activated her quirk and still floated. After getting her down, they continued. Deku wouldn't do anything remotely close without my consent. Ochako sternly explained with her arms crossed, eyes closed and her head nodding. What makes you so sure? Momo asked. Because I trust him. Even if his mind betrays him, he always puts me before himself. Ochako explained with a smile and blush on her face. Ooh, Ochako's got it bad. Just how in love are you with him? Toru squealed. Ochako once again turned crimson. Look, it doesn't matter how much in love I am with him. It's a lot, right? Mina asked with a large grin. Yes. Ochako mumbled with her head down to hide her crimson face. The girls started squealing and I started chuckling. You're so adorable, Ochako. I thought while chuckling. So who do you think is gonna win the sports festival? Jiro asked. I think Kirishima has a really good chance. Mina happily exclaimed. Asterisk ribbit star. Tokoyami has a really powerful quirk. Maybe he could win. Sue suggested. I think Todoroki has an excellent shot. Momo said with the tiniest of blushes that yet again could not escape my eyes. Kaminari might do a good job. Jiro said. I think it's pretty obvious that My Deku is gonna win. Ochako said with a confident tone and nod of her head. You're only picking him because he's your cute boyfriend. Mina accused. 1. I'm picking him because he's my hot boyfriend. 2. I train with him all the time. I know his strength better than anyone. 3. You only picked who you guys did because you all have a not-so-secret crushes on all of them. Ochako explained. They all blushed and looked away. I was snickering and rubbing my hands. Jiro likes Kaminari. Mina likes Kirishima. Sue likes Tokoyami. Momo likes Todoroki. This is gold. I have so got to tell people. I thought while snickering. Hey, who's there? Mina asked. I immediately paled. Darn it. I can't get caught. Who knows what they'll do to me? No doubt after mine and Ochako's speech when we became class presidents, they focused on strengthening their quirks. They'll pulverize me if they found out I was spying on one of their girl talks. Quick, make an excuse. I clear my throat and walk out. Yo! I casually greet with a wave of my hand. Were you spying on us? Toru asked. What? No. I reply while turning my head away from them, because right now the wall seems to be the most interesting thing in the world right now. I needed to talk to Ochako about. Mina asked with narrowed eyes, expecting an answer. The final round. I reply all too quickly. What about the final round? Momo asked with narrowed eyes. Advice. I once again quickly replied. Why would you give advice? You don't even know what the final round is. Ribbit. Sue asked with a hint of suspicion in her tone. Exactly. That's why I was going to tell her to be prepared. How can she prepare for something she doesn't know how about? Jiro asked, not bothering to hide the suspicion in her voice. What is this? 20 questions. Let's go, Ochako, I say while grabbing her hand and dragging her away. Once we were alone, I let out a sigh of relief. So what advice did you want to give me? She asked. I tensed up. Crap. I said I'd give her advice. Okay. What sounds smart? I wanted to make sure you're careful with Bakugo. Don't get carried away. Make sure you beat him. He's a tough opponent and he won't go easy on anyone. Especially you considering you're my girlfriend. I explain. She nods. Right? I'll make sure I'll do my best. And if you could, I want you to refrain from using one for all. I said. Why? She said while tilting her head in confusion. You're not gonna have one for all at all times. You should learn how to fight without it. Besides, I want to see your new strength. She nods and smiles. She then goes in to hug me and I gladly return. After we separated, I made sure to inform her. By the way, Mineta and Kaminari were lying. I explained. Inuit. Ochako said with a snap of her fingers. Wait, how did you know about that? Ochako asked. She looked to find me 50 feet away. What? You said leave and go prepare? Okay. I explained while running away. DKU. Ochako shouted while chasing after me. Once lunch finished, we headed out to hear the final round is a tournament. Sure enough, Kaminari and Mineta were lying. I had a good laugh out of it until I felt the glares of the girls on my back. I started sweating. Biksu, an angry girl, is the last thing you want. 16 people in all are in this tournament. That was until Ojiro and another kid dropped out. People tried to convince Ojiro otherwise, mainly Toru, which is also another thing to tell people about. But he wouldn't budge. It was a matter of pride after all. You can't take that away from him. Midnight also claimed it turned her on, to which most were confused at. I just shivered at the many times she said that to me. We see the brackets and I find that I'm first, to which I jump excitedly the air, earning a few weird looks. Ochako is against Boom Boom, to which I'm not surprised until I hear, "Who's Uraraka?" I grit my teeth but calm down. I mean, he only calls her round face or pink cheeks, rather than her real name. The guy I'm facing is Hitoshi Shinso, the one who so boldly called war on our class, and is definitely related to Mr. Aizawa. You're Izuku Midoriya, correct? The man of the hour asked as he appeared behind me, which would have startled me if I didn't sense him beforehand. I was about to answer until a tail covered my mouth. Shinso smirked and walked away. Don't say anything to that guy, Ojiro said. Why not? I'm not sure. But when he asked me a question and I answered, my mind went blank. It felt foggy and I couldn't think straight, like it was being controlled. He explained. What a quirk. I noted. Yeah, he agreed. Just be careful. I nod. Then the final rounds began. After some last-minute stretching, I'm approached by All Might. Hey buddy, I know we're putting some major shackles on you, but you've been doing great. I have no doubt that you'll be able to win this next match. Just remember what it means to be a hero. He told me. I smiled. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final round of the sports festival. The tournament is going to start with this next match. From one end, we have Izuku Midoriya from Class 1A, and the winner of the last two events. President Mike yelled. I walk out in all my glory and bask in the cheers of the crowd. It was going to be a good day. And Hitoshi Shinso from General Studies. He hasn't done much to stand out though. He walked out with a seemingly bored expression on his face. Are both fighters ready? We nod. Begin. Can I ask a question? He asks. I raise an eyebrow at this. Is the one with the round face your girlfriend? Tell me, how much did her family pay you to get you to go out with her? I mean, yeesh. I wouldn't wish that fate upon even my worst enemy. I'm sure they have enough trash to look at. The queen of them all with an ugly face on top would just be cruel, wouldn't you say? He asked with a smirk. I growled at his words. He was clearly lying, but I never did care about how it was said, only that is was said. And no one insults my girlfriend. The last guy who did ended up a burnt pancake. You're gonna regret saying the dash dot. Suddenly, all movement in my body flew away like the wind, as I'm left there just standing, my eyes blank and facial expression frozen. His quirk was successful. Sorry, I really am, but I have to win this for my own reasons. He said, what's this? Izuku Midoriya has just stopped moving. But why? I told him not to say anything, Ojiro exclaimed. Why is Midoriya not moving? Ida asked. Yeah, come on man, Kaminari shouted. Ochako looked on with a straight face, trying to see what was going on. This is why the entrance exams are irrational, Mr. Aizawa began. Those exams favor people with power-type quirks, the flashier kind, and ignore people like Shinso, who has a mind control quirk, one very useful. A quirk like Izuku's is the perfect example. We are still unaware of the full perimeters of his quirk, and yet what we can see is already good enough. But even so, he still fell to mind control. He's lost this fight. Aizawa explained. Now, do me a favor and lose for me, Shinso said as my body turned around and started walking towards the edge of the ring. No, Midoriya, Mina exclaimed. Yeah, it would be so unmanly if you lost like that, Kirishima said. My body inched closer and closer to the edge, just waiting to step out. Once I reached the very edge, my foot traveled over the out-of-bounds line and was about to land until it stopped. Everyone's eyes widened. What's going on? You should be out, Shinso yelled. I sighed as I turned around and placed my foot on the ground in the ring. He saved himself, Present Mike yelled as Mr. Aizawa's eyes were almost out of their sockets. Yeah, Midoriya, Kaminari yelled. Such a manly save, Kirishima yelled with manly tears coming out of his eyes. Ochako sighed in relief. So he was okay. He needs to stop keeping me on the edge of my seat, she said while shaking her head with a smile. You should be under my control, Shinso yelled. I scratched my head. Yeah, you should. But if you didn't know, my body can move on its own. But I decided not to show that yet, I added as if someone higher up was planning on showing it soon. I wonder who. Turns out the control you have over my mind can be easily overpowered by all my senses, and for one with experience in said field, I was explaining while I raised my hand. It works wonders. I finish as I swipe my hand and a gust of air sweeps across the field and completely blasts Shinso away, and almost midnight as well. The winner is Izuku Midoriya, she yelled as the cheers from the crowd came in. I smiled at this and then walked over to Shinso, who got up again and started glaring at me. If you could win this whole time, then why didn't you? Did you just want to embarrass me? He asked. I smile and shake my head. I felt that if I could demonstrate what your quirk does, then more agencies would be willing to recruit you. With a quirk and appearance like yours, some people may or may not have questioned your status as a hero, and I felt like you needed the exposure. I explained. I could hear the conversations of people wanting Shinso for his quirk, which makes my smile wider. His eyes are wide and he lets out a small smile. Thanks, he says as he walks away. I look up at the sky. I don't expect a lot to come out of this tournament. My worry is on you, Ochako. When the time comes, you'll have to face me. It's time you stepped up. Because if you don't, I walk away while waiting for the next match, with the last part of my thoughts lingering in my head. Chapter 12. Bakubum versus Uraraka. Maybe I might have been overreacting on the whole Dai thing. I'm not gonna kill her if that's what you're wondering. There are multiple reasons as to why, but here's the main one. She's my girlfriend. I don't know about you, but I think it would be a pretty jerk move to kill your girlfriend/student. What I meant was, if she doesn't step up to this challenge, then she'll die facing other challenges, where unlike me, they won't be forced to hold back. I mean, for all we know, there could be some crazed madman with a crazy powerful quirk who kidnaps and mentally damages children to help in his experiments, that she will have to face. I got back to the stands where everyone was waiting for me. Congrats, Midoriya, Kaminari said. Yes, you did a good job, Ida complimented. Ojiro gave me a thumbs up. I smiled at all the praise. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate it, I replied. I sat down next to Ochako and she kissed me on my cheek. I knew you'd win, Deku, she cheerfully exclaimed. I smiled and scratched the back of my head sheepishly. We turned to watch the other matches. The next match was Shiro versus Todoroki. Todoroki looked off. He was angry. No doubt he had a last-minute run-in with his father. On top of all that, he seemed sad. I almost feel bad for him. It doesn't help that I can relate to how he feels. I can feel Ochako's gaze on me as I look at the arena with a frown on my face. She clenched her fists in anger, right? I almost forgot I'm the only one keeping her from murdering Blasty Boy. Let me tell you, there isn't a soul that can stop her when she's angry. especially if it's for my sake. She gets inhuman boosts of power when she's angry. It's actually quite terrifying. Her fierceness is attracting but scary. Back to the point, Todoroki basically created a mountain of ice on a whim to trap Zero in. That may have been a little overboard if you ask me. The next match was Shiozaki versus Kaminari. Shiozaki was interesting. She was much more pure than I thought she'd be, considering the number 1 Class 1A hater was in her class. She looked so graceful. Even while wearing that kill me shirt I forced her class to wear. Even with her underwear on her head, she completely overpowered Kaminari and his quirk. It was quite amusing actually, especially in that doofus mode he was in. The next match was Aoyama versus Ishido. Aoyama tried to use his laser, but Mina practically danced around it. She must be a good dancer because she had some nice moves. Aoyama was shooting more lasers for a while, which means he did take our advice and started training. However, he still probably wanted to make himself sparkle and ended up cutting down on his training. A fatal mistake since Ishido had improved a great deal. She was much faster than before and could do more things with her quirk. She managed to create an acid shield and used that to block his attacks and sprinted forward after Aoyama reached his limit. She burned his belt, which dropped his pants. I instinctively put my hand over Ochako's eyes. I'd rather her not get a look. Ishido won with a mean uppercut. Next match was Yaoyorozu versus Tokoyami. Yaoyorozu looked slightly less insecure than I could sense before, but she's still nervous from what I can tell. Tokoyami is Tokoyami. Once the match started, he released Dark Shadow and went on the attack. Yaoyorozu very quickly made a shield, which means she's been improving as well. Dark Shadow ounces off but went straight back at her. She very quickly made a staff and whacked the shadow with it, stunning him for a few seconds for her to jump back. She created an even larger shield to hide behind while she did something. This shield took longer to knock down. Once knocked down, Yaoyorozu stood up and shoved something in its face and it flashed very brightly. She created a flashlight to temporarily immobilize her opponent and then created a giant metal bat and whacked the shadow, which sent it flying. She charged forward slowly because she used a great amount of her energy. She reached Tokoyami and went for a strike, but he dodged and gave Dark Shadow time to recover, and together they pushed Yaoyorozu out of the ring, making Tokoyami the winner. An excellent match if I do say so myself. The next match was a girl from support course named Mei Hatsum versus Ida. She may or may not have been flirting with him before this match, but then again it's hard to tell. She does seem a little odd. And I was correct in my judgment, as she basically turned her match into one big advertisement because she tricked Ida into using her support gear. And he was rambling on about how noble such an act was. I almost feel bad for the guy. The advertisement was the funniest thing I've ever seen. She eventually just stepped out of the ring, leaving a shocked Ida. I was on the floor dying at how Ida got played like a fiddle. The next match is here, and it is the one I personally want to see play out. No doubt Ochako will be the underdog in this matchup. She's so strong and fierce, but she has such a cute and adorable exterior, and her overly cheerful and airhead attitude doesn't exactly help oppose that. Most people forget she has one for all. I mostly make sure that she uses her main quirk in school and one for all outside of it. We don't need any suspicion about the relationship between All Might and the two of us. Plus, this'll keep things balanced with her quirks. Though, I guess we did kind of fail on the secret part since Todoroki so easily found out, well, almost found out. Midoriya, you're muttering again. Sue informed me. I stopped and sheepishly smiled. Sorry, old habit. I've changed many things about myself, but the one thing I could never change was my muttering, although I suppress it sometimes. Can easily come back without me realize. Stop muttering, Kaminari said frustratingly. See what I mean? I turned to see that Ochako is gone. Maybe she went to prepare? I wonder what you have planned. Ochako. Kawaii. Time for the 8th and final match. It's gonna be Class 1. S Hothead, Katsuki Bakugo, versus the one I'm personally rooting for, Ochako Uraraka. Also from Class 1A, as you can tell from her non-repulsing shirt. I chuckle at the last comment Present Mike made. So this is it, huh? I wonder what's gonna happen. Ribbit. Sue wondered. Oh man, I feel bad. I can't bear to watch this. Jiro exclaimed while covering her face. Relax, I stated as they turned their attention to me. She'll be fine. How can you be so sure? Toru asked. Yeah, man. Bakugo is a total sadist. There's no way she'll survive without severe injury. Mineta reasoned. Look, if I said she'll be fine, then she'll be fine. It's Boom Boom Boy you need to be worried about. I explained. What do you mean? Jiro asked. I know her better than any of you. It's my job to. And she can get scary when she's mad. And if you look, I said while pointing a finger at the ring for them to see Ochako walking out with her fists clenched so hard they're turning white. There are visible tick marks all over her forehead and she's gritting her teeth. I can almost hear the grinding. She's not in the best of moods. I finish while subconsciously getting ready to step in if anything goes. Unexpectedly, and begin. Present Mike shouts. If you're gonna quit, do it now. I don't plan on going easy on you like Deku would. I'm not as soft as him. I'm going to be the best and you are in my way. Bakugo growls. On the contrary, Bakubum. Flashback. Ochako slides across the slabs and is panting for air from another sparring session. Wow. Deku. You know, you could ease up a bit. Ochako said between breaths. That would be an insult to everything you represent. I wouldn't disgrace your hard work by giving less or simply matching your power. Remember, no one will go easy on you out there, and I'd only be holding you back by making you think that. She looks up at me as I walk over and place my hands on her shoulders and crouch down to her height. Flashback end. I'm too strong to hold back on. We both thought at the same time. Do you know what I despise about you, Bakugo? Ochako asks darkly as she gets ready to attack. What? Is it the fact that I knocked around your stupid nerd when we were little? Bakugo snarls. The glare that she gave him was so intense that everyone stood frozen in their place by the sheer intensity. And they didn't believe me when I said she can be scary. You overestimate yourself for fun, thinking you're better than anyone else. Ochako says as she charges in at light speed to anyone who either hasn't seen her train or isn't me. You put yourself on a pedestal and act all high and mighty. She continues as she tries to touch him, but his reflexes help him and he launches an explosion. When the smoke cleared, she stood there unfazed, still glaring daggers into Bakugo. His eyes widened in shock. When someone comes even remotely close to where you stand, you hurt and torture them to feed your own ego, she said as she punched him straight in the gut, sending him flying. All that training really does pay off. People are gaping like fish, seeing Ochako's abilities. Bakugo sends another explosion which breaks the arena, but Ochako charges straight through it, as if it were a light breeze. She punches the ground after Bakugo dodges, which leaves a small but noticeable crater. Bakugo goes for an explosive punch, but Ochako catches it without even looking, purposely not using her quirk to make him float. How many years? She began as she squeezed harder, causing a scream of agony to escape from Bakugo's mouth. How many years have you and your gang of nobodies tortured, beat down, and emotionally scar my Deku? How many? She yells as she lifts him up and slams him onto the ground, making an even bigger crater. Bakugo recovers and flashes light in Ochako's face in a similar fashion to Yaoyorozu. He then lands an explosive punch which sends her flying. Is that why you're so mad? Because Deku was too weak to do anything? He was beneath me. I don't know how he got his power, but he'll never be anything but a quirkless loser just like he was back then. Tell that worthless nerd I said that when you come out of the coma, I'm about to put you in. He yells as he charges. Ochako gets up, hardly touched but her head down. You just don't get it, she mumbles. She then raises her hand and 10 separate glows on each of her fingers begin to emit. She slams her fingers on the ground. Gravity manipulation. Gravity cage. Ochako cried out. Suddenly a pink lines that intersected spread across the ring and froze Bakugo in place. What the I can't move, he shouted. Helpless, she said as she slowly inched her towards Exploder Brains. You can't move, you can't use your quirk, you can't do anything. You are helpless, she stated. She got up directly into his face and stared him down. Seem familiar? She rhetorically asks as she punches him in the gut, causing his eyes to widen and for him to gag in pain. What? Not gonna do anything. she says as she walks around him, punching him in new places and inflicting more and more pain every hit. This doesn't compare to what you put Deku through. Beatings every day, but those around you for something you can't control. Treating him as subhuman because he's not kissing the ground where you stand. Because he's different. So much physical pain you put him through, but the emotional pain was even worse. He won't admit it, but he was inches away from suicide. He was gonna put himself out of his misery. 6 feet under. Because of you. I have every reason to be angry with you. I don't care if you want to be a hero or not. I put my head down knowing she was absolutely correct in everything she said. I didn't want her to worry about me, and I wanted to stay strong rather than remembering those dark memories. I should have known she'd put 2 and 2 together. She finally finishes her onslaught of punches, leaving him barely conscious. You won't hurt anyone anymore. I'm gonna humble you right here and right now. The easy way or the hard way. Maybe then you'll learn how to be a good person before you become a hero. She finishes as she delivers the mother of all haymakers, effectively knocking him out. CC Class 1. S.O. Chaco U Uraraka wins. Present Mike shouts as Midnight is too shocked to say anything. People are staring wide-eyed and mouth agape. Then the students turn to me, who was visibly unaffected. Seeing as she went easy on him, and this was most likely just to vent her anger. What? I respond to the shock-filled stares. I told you she's scary, much scarier than you think. I shuddered at that thought as I get up to visit Ochako. Chapter 13. Battle of Beliefs. I open up the door to the locker room and I see Ochako cackling evilly, which makes me sweat drop. You know, you didn't have to be so rough and scary, I say with a nervous chuckle. She turns and smiles widely. Deku! She yells. She ran up to me and hugged me really hard and then kissed me deeply. Yeah. It's me. You act like you haven't seen me for years, I said while chuckling and holding her. Yeah, well, I didn't. For 8 whole years if you didn't know, she said, muffled because of her face in my chest. Well, sorry if I didn't follow you home. How was I supposed to know where you lived or where you went to school? I asked with a slight frown. Find a way to know. She nonchalantly replies. My eyes widen suddenly, then a smirk finds its way onto my face. Wait. I begin as she shoots her head up, knowing my tone. Don't tell me you've been in love with me since that time I saved you? Her eyes go comically wide. Chaco POV. Flashback. I ran into my house and slammed the door shut and slide down and plop on the floor. I can feel my cheeks burning. What am I doing? I think to myself. I feel so happy. I don't know what to do with myself. Oh, Chaco, dear? Are you back?
Yeah.
I shout back. Did something happen? She asks as she walks up to me and sees me blushing furiously. She smirks devilishly as she motions for me to follow her. I get up and follow her to the living room. So, she began with a giddy tone. Who is he? I immediately turn red. What do I say? I've never felt this way before. Even about Machi. I manage to get out. She giggles and then points. You're blushing and you're stuttering, and you had a goofy smile on your face. Sounds like love at first sight. She recites happily. My face turns crimson and I hide my face in my hands while simultaneously floating away. This causes my mother to go into a full-on laughing fit as my dad enters the room. What's so funny? He asks. Our little girl's in love, she said giggly. He narrows his eyes. Who? That's what I want to know as well, she explains. I blush from the sudden shift in attention as I look down to hide my reddening cheeks. Well, he's, I nervously start as I take a deep breath and look up to them with a wide ear-to-ear grin. He's Izuku Midoriya, aka Deku. He was the coolest person ever. These guys were trying to hurt me, but he came out of nowhere and took them on by himself while also protecting me. He had crazy green hair and he had the cutest eyes and face. He wanted to be a hero more than anything to bring smiles to people's faces. He was so strong and so cool and so cute. He was awesome. I'm gonna become a hero like him. So then I'll be able to help you and stand side by side with him for the rest of my life. I shout with joy and pure bliss as I pump my fist into the air. Their eyes are wide and a grin appears on my mother's face. He must be special to make you feel this way after one meeting, she said with a smile. I look away nervously. Okay, So maybe it's a tiny crush, but it's normal to want to be like your favorite hero, right? Ask, also the one you love. She cheekily replies. I turn crimson and hide my face in my hands as my mother erupts into laughter and my father crosses his arms and looks away grumbling. Flashback end, Deku POV. She looks away, while mumbling, I don't know what you're talking about. I start laughing hysterically as Ochako blushes and furrows her eyebrows. She then smacks me on the head. Really hard. Ow, ow, ow. I say while holding my head and scrunching my face. The heck was that for? Eat hurtsiak no. She crosses her arms and turns away. That's what you get. Okay, let me make it up to you. What do you want? A kiss? Ask. She nods happily with a grin. Nah, I don't think I will give you one. I said with a nod of my head. She pouts and gets ready to hit me again. I immediately shoot my hands up in defense. I was kidding, I said while chuckling. She smiles and walks up to me. She pulls me by the collar and connects our lips. She decided to go deeper and occupy her time until the next match against Todoroki. She licks my lips, begging for entrance. Once I allow her in, she immediately introduces my mouth to her tongue. She's completely occupying my mouth, dragging her tongue across the insides of my mouth. As I decide to push my tongue into her mouth, she allows me in with no hesitation and I mark my territory in her mouth. She then decides to battle my tongue in a duel for possession. While she's trying to find new places in my mouth, her phone rings. She releases from me begrudgingly. I guess I have to take that, she said with a pout while still in my arms. It's my dad. I'll talk to you later, okay? Good luck. I'll be watching. She finishes with a smile as she kisses me once again. Yeah, thanks, I say as I turn towards the door. I think I'll need it. I walk towards the arena, but as I'm walking, I run into Endeavor. Oh, I was looking for you, he said in his deep voice. And why was that? I ask with zero patience in my tone. I want you to get my son to use his fire. It's time he accept his duty as my ultimate creation, he said with a smirk. I shake my head and sigh. Such desperation. If you're so willing to trash your son's life to become number one, then you're no hero, I began as he narrowed his eyes at me. You drove away his mother, made him hate you, and for what? To become the number one hero. You've given up and you're putting your own problems on his shoulders. Have you ever once thought of problems outside the picture of the number one spot? If you have, you'd know that your family is at the top of the list. There's plenty of time to become number one, but family will not always be there, I said as I walked off and left him deep in thought. Okay, it's time for the first match of the second round, I hear Present Mike shout. On one side we have Class 1A's powerhouse, Izuku Midoriya, he says as I walk up the stairs and into the ring with a determined expression. Next we have the King of Ice, the Prince of Flames, Endeavor's son, Shoto Todoroki. With that, Todoroki walks up the stairs and into the ring with a focused expression. I stare down Todoroki as he stares right back. He really wants to win this, but he has the wrong ideals. I believe the power that you get, whether cursed or not, should be made your own to use to your benefit. While he wants nothing to do with the power he was given as a sign of rebellion and rejection. He's stubborn, but he'll learn. Begin! Todoroki wastes no time and covers the whole ring in a sheet of ice. Ooh! Todoroki has turned the ring into an ice rink, Present Mike shouted. So he's trying to throw off my movement with this ice. Not bad. I could just break it. But where's the fun in that? I want to see what he has planned. He glides towards me, shooting ice spikes at me. I dodge expertly and he shoots another one. When it comes close, I grab the ice in midair and spin around and whack Todoroki with it, effectively breaking the ice and sending him back a couple feet. Ooh, what a smackdown from Midoriya, Present Mike commented. He then sends more ice as I decide to move. Since he covered the whole ring in ice, he controls the environment, which means I'm at a clear disadvantage. All the more fun. An ice spike comes from both my sides and I corkscrew dodge both of them expertly as they all whiz by me. I slide to the right as he raises up the ice to attack. I jump from the right side to the left as he raises up more ice and I grab the tip of the ice headed straight for me and swing myself past it and to the middle with a clear sight of Todoroki. The ice is not affecting me at all as I just gracefully slide my way towards him. He then sends a mountain of ice right towards me as I front flip right over it, earning shocked gasps from the crowd. As I clear the top, I see a wide-eyed Todoroki. I smirk and raise my fist, and once I reached the ground, I punched with great force and the ice completely shattered, knocking away the makeshift ice rink and the piles and mountains of ice completely. While I can't control wind pressure like One for All, I can create wind shockwaves from my attacks. He luckily dodged at the last second but was knocked back from the force, luckily catching himself with his ice. I get up from the ground, leaving a fairly big crater, and I stand ready for anything that might come my way. He sends more ice spikes coming at me from multiple directions, albeit slowly, which I took notice of. As one of the ice spikes reaches, I maneuver my torso and above to the left and destroy the first one with my left hand. The second one comes at my lower body and the third one comes at my upper body. I once again corkscrew spin and catch the two spikes. The last ones come from my right and left and I destroy them with the back of my right and left hand. With my back turned and the other ice spikes destroyed, I raise my hands and crunch the others in my hands. I can hear another mountain of ice coming towards me as I turn around last second and punch the mountain, causing the ice to shatter and a shockwave to build up. Look at Midoriya go, fending off Todoroki's axe with his own like a pro. Up in the stands, wow, Midoriya is taking care of Todoroki's ice like it's nothing. Mina noted, yes, it's quite troubling. Momo replied with a slight frown. Well, it's just a bad matchup. Chaco adds. Everyone turns to her for further explanation. Well, Ochako continued, Deku's attacks are more than strong enough to break Todoroki's ice, and he doesn't have the backlash of broken bones like I would have. Any backlash of his quirk that he did have, he made sure to get rid of them long ago. The only backlash left is simply using too much power. Ochako informs them with everyone getting wide-eyed at that fact. He can't win, not with ice anyway. Chaco finished. They turn back to the arena wondering how the match will end. Back in the ring, I dodge multiple ice spikes shot at me as he attempts to get closer. I don't move from my spot and simply keep dodging until he gets close enough, probably hoping to freeze me in place. I run past all the spikes, straight to him and punch in the gut, sending him back. You're trembling, Todoroki, I informed him while closing my fists. At this rate, you'll lose without even having a shot. He chooses to ignore me and sends a much smaller and slower mountain of ice. I shatter it again and appear next to Todoroki and kick him in the back, sending him across the ring. Why won't you use your fire? I shout angrily. After all I went through to get to this level, same with Ochako and even Bakubum. It frustrates me to see one such as him giving half effort. I'll never use his quirk. I refuse to let myself become like he is. He stubbornly shouts back. I break through any and all ice he throws at me and uppercut him, which sends him up into the air, and then I spin kick him across the ring. Refusing to listen to reason, for only one meaningless goal that will only cause you pain in the long run, is being exactly like your father. I shout back. As he gets up, his eyes widen in shock and realization. Todoroki, this power is foreign. It's never been seen before, ever. Super strength, speed, and reflexes are not what this quirk is. It's because of this reason that I was hurt my entire life. The same quirk that gave me power gave me pain. No one would listen if I told them about it and its problems. They would laugh or just bully me more. Or when the power does come out accidentally, it caused more pain. Yet I still use it to this day, because I knew I could make it into something great, something worthy of a hero. I shout, don't you get it? It's the man that makes the quirk, not the quirk that makes the man. It's your quirk, not his or anyone else's. It is only yours. His eyes widen once again as this enlightenment, and moments later his left side erupts into flames as his near hypothermic body goes back to normal. I understand now. I'll be a hero, my own hero, he states with a smile. I can't help but smile back. He really is powerful and his fire side will make him even more stronger. Why are you smiling? You must be crazy to be smiling in this situation, he said. I chuckle as I feel the heat coming off of him. While it's nowhere near as hot as mine, it's fairly lukewarm, which is a surprise. Well, I won't say you're incorrect, I reply. I'm just getting excited. I usually keep the power of instincts inside to dull the impact of my attacks and to avoid collateral damage. But what the heck? Let's show them the instinct's transformation. I jump back and put my arms in an X position. I feel my power rising and I let it out. Instincts 3%. Release. A silver glow emerges and covers my body. As the wind picks up because of the power being put out, which coincidentally makes his flames stronger. The sliver yet see-through aura covers my entire body as I open my eyes for it to be shining silver. While I'm capable of remaining in instincts all day, every day with no drawback, sometimes I like to make my eyes shine silver just for the fun of it, or to make myself look cool. I rush towards Todoroki as he gets his flames and ice ready. We need to stop this. I hear Cementos yell to Midnight as she rips open her sleeve for her quirk to take action. You really are something, Midoriya. Thank you, Todoroki says as he is about to attack. I am about to attack with my silver aura and eyes shining in all its glory. All Might, you watching? This is how I make my mark as a hero. But I'll be finishing it with your teachings. I get closer and closer to attack, and Midnight and Cementos get closer and closer to stopping it. I reel my fist back and clench my butt cheeks and yell from the depths of my heart, Smama er Ashish. The collision blows everything back. Midnight, Cementos, the crowd. Everyone and everything gets blown back by the force of the attack/explosion. As Midnight regains her bearings and the smoke clears, she sees Todoroki across the stadium up against the wall while collapsing. Then she sees me standing, with my shirt burned off, and the silver glow still surrounding my body and emitting from my eyes. TT, the first match is over. Midoriya wins, Midnight announced. One by one, the crowd slowly starts to cheer at this outcome as they continue to recover. I make sure to give Todoroki some energy for him to heal before I walk off. I'm met with a congratulatory hug from Ochako once I reach the stands. Then a crimson blush as she realizes she just hugged my shirtless and very well-built body. She keeps staring at my 8-pack, not being able to keep her eyes off of them, which amuses me to no end. Time skip. As the matches finish up, the same outcome are the results of the matches. Ochako and I finishing our matches without too much problems. Then the time I've been waiting for has finally come. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the last match of the sports festival for the first years. The match I've been waiting for, and I'm sure you have as WL. Present Mike shouted. What about you, Eraser? This will certainly be very interesting. I'm honestly excited to see this match. Aizawa replied with his trademark monotone voice. Eraserhead? Interested? And not sleeping? Present Mike questioned, which made a tick mark appear on Aizawa's head. Now you know this will be good, folks. Now, without further ado, this is it. The match you've all been waiting for. No turning back. Class 1, A's green-haired wonder.
Mini Almicht.
The powerhouse, Izuku Midoriya, versus Class 1, A's Queen of Pain, the Gravity Master, Female All Might, Co-Powerhouse, Ochako Uraraka. Let the games begin. Chapter 14, The Final Battle, Deku versus Uraraka. Ochako POV. 5 minutes before, I'm currently stretching, trying to get ready for my match with my boyfriend. The girls walk up to me, I assume to try and motivate me. Do a great job out there, Ochako, Sue says to me. Yeah, but be careful. Jiro warns me. Midoriya is really strong, and there's not a lot known about him, besides his strength and speed, which apparently isn't his actual quirk. Oh, come on,
Mina exclaimed.
I'm sure you have nothing to worry about. Midori's your boyfriend, right? I'm sure he wouldn't purposely hurt you. She finished with a confident nod of her head. I chuckle and shake my head. Actually, Mina, I began. You couldn't be more wrong. Deku would gladly go all out on me out there. Her eyes widen. But shouldn't he be concerned for your safety? She asks in confusion and shock. Well, if there's one thing about Deku that I know, it's that he doesn't like to lose. To anyone. That includes me. Besides, he knows that I'd be upset if he purposely held back, and he probably wouldn't do that anyways, under the belief of me not deserving to be held back on. They reluctantly nod, still a bit weary of me facing my freakishly strong boyfriend. Don't worry, guys. I've been training specially for this chance. I'll show everyone the true results of my training. I won't lose easily. I'll do everything I can. He knows better than to underestimate me. After all, he helped train me himself. I told them, okay, well, good luck. Toru chanted before I had to go for my match. Thanks, you guys. I told them with a bright smile. As I'm walking towards the arena, I have a focused expression on my face. Deku. I thought, this is gonna be my toughest challenge yet. There's no way I'll be able to win easily. I need to use every move in my arsenal to be able to stand a chance. Even that if I have to. Present Mike is hyping us up from his spot as a commentator as me and Deku slowly make our way towards the ring. Focus shown clearly on our faces. After Present Mix shout out to both of us, Midnight gets ready to start the match. Now, time for the final match. Are our two finalists ready? She asks. I'm ready. I answer. I'm always ready. Deku answered. She nods at this. Now, without further ado, let the final match begin. She finishes. Deku POV. I watch Ochako very closely to see what she's about to do, but she stands there, staring right back at me. I've been waiting for this, you know? She finally speaks up. I can't help but grin in excitement. I'd be offended if you weren't. I replied, to which Ochako chuckled at. Show me what you're made of. She grins back as she rolls up her arm and leg sleeves to reveal weights. There's no point in using these anymore, she said as she deactivated them and tossed them outside of the ring. I take this as a sign of her being ready. I waste no time and rush her so fast that it looked like I teleported. I end up on her right side as I go for a kick to her head. She raises her right forearm and blocks perfectly. She then goes for a left punch, but I'm already under it, and when her left arm reaches where my face should have been, my fist is in her stomach. She gets sent flying back, but she realigns herself so she lands on her feet. She smirks at me as I smirk back. We then rush each other at the same time and jump and clash forearms, while sending intimidating states toward one another. Our clash ends and she sends roundhouse kick, to which I dodge and go for an uppercut. She maneuvers her head backwards so my fist whizzes past her face, and she grabs my hand and lifts me over her shoulder and slams me down on the ground violently. What a slam by SHE Might, Present Mike shouted as the audience ponders the questionable nickname. I quickly rebound and spin myself on the ground, hoping to sweep her legs, but she jumps. While she's in the air, I quickly maneuver myself so that I'm in a push-up position while looking at her. I launch myself with my feet first straight into her gut, sending her flying. She lands once again, only to find me right in front of her. I go for a punch, but it misses as she jumped over it. She starts running around the ring, dodging my attacks. This goes on until I nearly land one, but she catches it with her right hand and goes for a punch to my face. But I duck down, which she was expecting, so she also knees me in the face at the same time, sending me flying. I get back up, a little disoriented. I quickly realize that I'm surrounded by rubble, with Ochako standing across the ring. So that's why she kept dodging, so she could have more rubble to send at me. I deduced. The rocks came flying at me, quicker than I expected, as they land and form a giant pile on top of me. What a move by Ochako, Present Mike shouted as the crowd cheered. Ochako looks on at the pile suspicious. As she is about to take a step forward, I reappear behind her, back to back. Her eyes widen a little but quickly return to normal. She steals a side glance at me as I do the same. Humph, I express with a smirk. Humph, she expresses with a similar smirk. We turn at the same time and clash my right and her left fist. We then connect our left and right hands and hold them in a grip contest. We grit our teeth in the struggle. We put our heads back and headbutt each other at the same time, with the same amount of force. We then collide with our knees. As we back up, I go for a punch which is gracefully redirected, leaving my face wide open. She goes for her own punch as I lean back and dodge. I sweep her leg, which leaves her open for attack before she inevitably falls. I go for a punch to her stomach, but to my surprise she catches it in midair and lets me stay in the motion and uses the momentum to turn in midair and send me to the ground with her foot on my back and my arm in her grasp, ready to snap it at any moment. My eyes widen in shock at the familiar setting. How did you dash? I began but was cut off. Training, she answered with a closed-eyed smile. I can't help but chuckle at this. Heh, it's clear I won't be getting out of this anytime soon, man. And I really thought I could force her to fully use gravity manipulation or even one for all with 3%. I guess that was just wishful thinking. Okay then. Instincts 5%. With that, I power up and like lightning. I roll over and grab her arm and force her down while bringing myself up, and she ends up in the same position that I was just in. Before I say anything else, she grabs my leg and releases the gravity on me and throws me away. Then she releases me, so I fall face first into the ground, much to my displeasure. Ugh! Again. I thought while getting up. I turned to see her running at me, albeit much slower. What happened? I wondered. She goes for a punch that completely misses him and hits the ground instead. She goes for more punches that hit the ground continually because of each miss. Finally, one lands on target, but I catch it. Then a small crater is formed under my feet as I realized what happened. She increased the gravity on at arms to create stronger attacks, while slowing her down in process. But why? As I'm contemplating what her reason is, she sends an uppercut towards me. My senses go off, ordering me to dodge it, but it comes faster than I'm able to react and sends me upwards as he kicks me away. I get up, only to be frozen in place, as gravity slowly takes the upper hand against me and begins forcing me to my knees. What's happening? When I used gravity manipulation on my arms, I was actually putting in gravity cages for me to use. She explains. So when I missed, I actually was placing these cages down to give me control over the environment. I kept attacking to keep you occupied. You also didn't notice me use one of my newer moves, Gravity Seal, where I am able to seal off all other changes or effects to gravity from myself. So while you're feeling the force of gravity, I am not. Darn it. Why is that so cool? I know you train with weighted clothes, as do I, so I made this gravity cage special. It is 5x the weight you used when we past trained. She explains. Okay. So that's why I feel like I'm being slowly crushed by a boulder without instincts. Amused, she then powers up one for all. Full cowling, 20%. She yells. She then points her hand at me in a flicking position. You know as well as I do how this quirk works, right? I can control wind pressure, which means I can shoot these air projectiles straight at you. She exclaims. Delaware smash. Suddenly, a fairly sized air bullet comes straight at me and hits my stomach, which causes my eyes to go wide and for spit to come out of my mouth. She continues to launch them at me as I try to endure the pain. I can tell she really has been training because I haven't felt this bad since Gran Torino kept me from eating until I used level 3 for at least an hour. Ow. Okay, OW. How can I not move? Darn it, the fact that she's causing this much pain means that she could still probably fight me head on even if I wasn't forced down. I better take this up a notch. Instincts 7%. As soon as I say this, I release a bit of my held-in energy and power through the gravity cage, taking away most of the gravity effect and knocking away the projectiles. As I try to regain my bearings, Ochako is in my face and punches me to the other side of the ring. I quickly recover because of the change in my power, but I soon realize that I'm floating. What the dash, I say in surprise. You like it? This is my double-sided gravity cage. On one side, it makes you feel like you're about to be crushed. On the other side, it makes you feel as light as a feather. She said while panting a tiny bit, to which I take notice of. She must be getting tired. Not surprising considering how much she did already. Dang. She's keeping me from relying on my instincts and power, handicapping me more than I already am. It's smart, and it's working. She then charges up one for all and attacks the ground on my side, so the rubble that she made starts to float. She then jumps up into the air and spins herself rapidly, her hands in flicking positions as she flicks them, realizing electric shockwaves which knocks the rocks towards me, who's still floating. Ultimate move, Electric Rock Storm. Like the name, rocks come at me like a storm. Thanks to my Ultra Instinct training, I'm avoid them in midair, but some still hit me, and not to mention the electric shockwaves that I can't exactly dodge since they're so big. They hurt a lot. I was knocked back to the ground, but floated back up due to the lack of gravity. This continued for a while until she stopped, and I finally am able to regain some ground, and I put my arms in an X position and send all the rocks back. The crowd and refs that have been spectating were gawking at what was going on. They were also affected by the shockwaves, which nearly blew them away. After I blow away the rocks, once again Ochako appears in my face with the menacing electricity of one for all around her. Full cowling, 50%. Detruy idit smite ashish. She cried out as she punched my face so hard I got sent flying back down to the ground with a loud bang. The smoke that blew up cleared to reveal me dazed at what just happened. Well, that hurt. On the bright side, this must mean I'm an excellent teacher. My thoughts are disrupted by the sudden change in gravity. That's when I realize I'm back on the increased gravity side. She comes flying at me again, but this time I will myself to catch the fist coming at me, which emits a loud rumble across the stadium from the impact. Then, with more strength, I bring my arm over my head and slam her down, effectively creating a huge crater and releasing her gravity seal and cages in one for all dying down. We were both on the ground panting, facing in different directions, but heads right next to each other.
What amach ladies and gentlemen.
Present Mike exclaimed enthusiastically. All the audience could do was nod, with their mouths agape. I chuckle as I turn my head to Ochako with a soft smile. She does the same as my smile turns into a grin. You gotta stop getting so strong. Then I'll have to put in more work, I said in mock frustration. She giggled in response. No way. I'll get as strong as I can. I would expect no less. I finish with a smile. I slowly but surely get up as she does the same. I look at her and she looks at me. I raise my fist to her as a sign of respect. She raises hers and bumps it. Then we shoot back. My hair is over my eyes in a sort of dramatic fashion as I make another X sign and raise my head. Time to finish this, I exclaim. Suddenly the ground starts shaking and rumbling loudly as a familiar silver glow covers my body. Instinct's transformation. 10%. I look up with my eyes shining a fierce silver glow as the ground continues rumbling and wind picks up from the output of power, which causes others to hold on to their seats and or brace themselves. Then she charges up one for all and I can see her making her bottom half light while she raises the gravity on her arms. Full cowling. 50%. 60%. 70%. She yells. The raging winds get even more faster as she put out more power. I can tell she's hurting herself. While not quite breaking herself, she's still gonna feel that tomorrow. With no need to stay put, we rush at each other with pure determination in our eyes as we say the same thing. Ditruwai ayitsmama ar asha. Our fists collide in a battle of power. More raging winds created as we reach a stalemate. More and more people are being nearly blown out of their seats. I push her fist back more as she does the same. With gritted teeth, we both yell, Pluyasis ultal tralra. The wind gets even fiercer as out of the corner of my eye I can see a familiar grape being blown away. Our showdown eventually stops with an explosion of power. The smoke clears to see Ochako barely standing and me standing tall with my aura glowing fiercely. The fact that she was able to fight me to a stalemate is incredible. Good thing I stopped. I might have gone over my assigned limit. Though she still lacks the endurance and stamina to keep up with me in a real fight. And she nearly broke herself, no doubt due to so much adrenaline. She still needs to get stronger, especially since this is technically still only a tenth of my normal power. But still, when she could barely handle 2% not too long ago, even with one for all, to this? She's incredible. But it's over now. I conclude as I walk over to finish the job. Chaco POV. No! This can't be it. Right? I can barely move. It's all I can do to stand up. There has to be another way. Flashback. Hey Deku. Yeah, Ochako? Why can't I ever see what instincts look like? Do you not use it? Oh, I'm always in instincts. It's just that I've gotten so good at using it that I can stay in it all the time without any problems. You'll be able to do it too someday. How exactly do you reach instincts? Instincts is the combination of all your senses and instincts heightened to their absolute max with your power that you receive from the proper training. Your body has many more senses than just 5. Instincts uses that. With the right training, your body will recognize when you're in grave danger and will heighten them for you. You won't feel a thing but a small impulse. The moment you feel it, you let yourself be taken over by it. If you have sufficient training, your power, senses and instincts will combine from the small action of following the subconscious movements of your body. That's how you will tap into instincts. Flashback end. Is this it? Deku POV. I go for my final attack, but then my fist is caught by her fingers? I'm so confused that I don't even realize that she slowly brought the back of her hand towards my face and taps me with her knuckles. That action alone is enough to create a massive shockwave and send me flying back. I grab my head in pain as I get back up. My eyes widen in shock at what I see. I see Ochako standing there with a scarily familiar silver glow around her body and the piercing gaze of those deadly silver eyes. But that's Dash. How? Was this a part of the special training as well? Why must you do this to me, Ochako? Why? She walks toward me in a calm way. It's almost scary. I try to punch, but she just gracefully maneuvers her head to the left, and I'm left with a fist in my stomach. I grab my stomach in pain as I drop to my knees. She crouches down and looks at me menacingly as I'm sent upwards by an uppercut and then sent flying once again across the ring with an effortless kick. I struggle to get up as I hold my stomach in pain. Girls are scary, especially with instincts. I guess breaking the rules wouldn't hurt, right? Yeah, maybe oh no. I look up for my eyes to widen in shock and horror. I see her skin turn yellow and those familiar streaks of red to go across her body. But why is she even using that? She must have felt the overwhelming power of instincts and sought control. Naturally, the control of full cowling came to mind. But something even greater happened. I see the regular electricity build up, but then it turns into an aura that builds up and swirls from the bottom to the top of her body as a pink glow covers her entire body, which shines so bright. I and the rest of the crowd are forced to look away. The wind is picking up so much that I'm forced to brace myself just to not be blown back. Everything soon stops as the glow on her dissolves, and I'm left with something I wish I never saw. There she is, Chaco Uraraka, with pink and white colored heat surrounding her like an outline. Her hair pitch black with shades of bright pink and her eyes a bright pink glow. That's right, I'm looking at something I never thought I'd see. One for all, Ultra Instinct. I chuckle at this. You really are incredible, Ochako. And so much work. There's no point in trying to fight you right now. Not even 100% of my normal power would lay a finger on you. Full cowling must have improved instincts much like One for All does to other powers, bringing a brand new Ultra Instinct, which can now control wind pressure. So unfair. What's even more unfair is that if I had to guess, I'd say you're using at least 0.1% of your full power, which by the way is leagues above mine was before the USJ. As I'm thinking of what to do, I see her raise an arm and gather up heat into a large ball of power. Oh look, now she's using heat attacks. Perfect. She finishes and sends the ball towards me. You really are something else, Ochako. However, the ball inches closer and closer. Let me introduce you to 0.1% of MY full power. When the ball is mere inches away, it stops. All the wind picked up stops as well. The broken down stadium is also wondering what is happening and also secretly happy they can live another day. Then the ball of heat splits in two and bursts, sending a shockwave so powerful, you might as well say goodbye to the stadium. Ochako gets sent flying back and out of bounds as she quickly falls unconscious. Those who aren't already unconscious look to see me, covered in an outline of blue, purple, and white combined heat. My hair pitch black with shades of sliver and my eyes a fierce sliver glow. My hand raised towards the direction of Ochako as I drop it to my side. Level 2 of my quirk, Ultra Instinct Omen, was shining in all its glory. I look to see the collateral damage caused, which makes me sweat drop. At least I won. And with that, I go to heal Ochako and any others who may have been injured. Chapter 15. Hatred Consumes. And now, the events of the sports festival are over. Every activity was completed, so it's time for the awards ceremony. Midnight shouted after waking up from her unconscious state. The crowd cheered in the rubble that used to be the stadium as the podium rises to reveal me, with my shirt burned off. Then Ochako, who thankfully has her shirt on, but there are rips here and there, some slightly revealing, but at the end of the day, I'll pulverize anyone who points it out, so it's fine. Then Tokoyami, who's just staring at us. Understandable, considering Ochako nearly beat the life out of me and I just powered up further and we ended up destroying the arena itself. Good thing I held back or we would have destroyed a lot more than the arena. Now who better to give out the awards then? She pauses, then All Might emerges. Ha! 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 All Might shouted. All Might? The crowd exclaims in disbelief. I am Dash, All Might is about to say before Midnight interrupted. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome All Might. She exclaims, not knowing she ruined his entrance. Once that gets sorted out, All Might starts presenting the medals. Young Tokoyami, You did an excellent job in the final rounds. I'm very proud of you. However, you must learn to combat others who are stronger and faster than you. Sometimes your quirk won't be enough. Remember that, for it will aid you in the future. Even so, congratulations. All Might said, I am honored, sir. He replied. He then goes over to Ochako. Young Ochako, he said while struggling to hide the pride in his voice. You did an excellent job out there. You utilized your quirks to your advantage and nearly had young Midoriya beat. That new power of yours that you showed was incredible. Keep up the good work. Make sure you get even stronger. Ochako flashed a wide smile and giggled lightly. Thank you, sir. He then moves on to me. Young Midoriya, he began. You showed excellent skill and power during this whole thing. You embodied the phrase, plus ultra. Even though you technically went against the rules, I sheepishly chuckle while rubbing the back of my head. Sorry. I know the whole 10% thing was a must, but she would have won if I didn't go over it and she wouldn't have liked that one bit. Besides, I hate holding back on those who don't need to be held back on. Fair enough, he started. Congratulations on winning the sports festival. You've done an excellent job. Just try and not destroy buildings again. I rub the back of my neck and chuckle sheepishly. My expression changes as I sense a collective emotion rising. Why are so many girls whore? I tilt my head and see a lot, and I mean a lot of girls staring directly at me. I get confused until I look down to see my rock-hard 8-pack. I sigh as I see different noses shoot out blood and a bunch of girls with wobbly smiles and far-off looks. I then shoot my head towards Ochako, who has a very visible tick mark with gritted teeth and is subconsciously charging one for all. I rush over to stop her. I hug her and hold her like a baby in my arms, trusting to soothe her. It's okay, Ochako. They won't do anything. You're the only one for me, I say in a soothing manner. This seems to calm her down as she stops charging up one for all and wraps her arms around my neck and pushes her face into my neck, secretly kissing it. I truly and keep my composure for the rest of the ceremony. All Might, who was watching this go down, sweat dropped, but continued with the ceremony. After a failed attempt at a collective plus ultra, we go to school 2 days later with one thought running through my mind. Ida, his brother, the hero Ingenium, was attacked by the hero killer, Stain. Stain is an enigma. No one knows why he does what he does, how he does it, what his quirk is. No one knows a lot about him. The only people close to knowing were the people that fought him and, well, didn't make it. The ones he has crippled have little information as well. I'm confident I'd be able to beat him, but I wonder if Ochako could? Maybe. Most of the power she displayed was because of adrenaline. She's probably still drained, even though I healed her. I probably could have used Ultra Instinct to heal her, but I decide not to. She can't expect me to heal her all the time. I put those thoughts out of my head as I walk back into the classroom. My shirt is all ruffled up and I have very visible marks all over my neck. Next to me is a smug-looking Ochako. I glare at her as she just smirks. What? She said while putting her finger on her chin, making an innocent, cute-looking face. I look away while grumbling, knowing nothing I say will matter. I go to my seat and Ochako follows right behind me. As soon as I take a seat, she sits right in my lap and brings her face directly into my nose as she just stares at me with a wobbly smile. Hey, she said with love-filled eyes. Hey, I reply slightly nervously. I can read her emotions, and today her love meter for me is very, very close to stepping into the realm of lust. /N. No lemons, by the way. I have no idea what has gotten into her. I can't say I don't like it. But in front of all these people, no way am I. Great. I can't even finish without her interrupting. Oh well, after a while of just staring at me, she finally decides to kiss, no make out with me. This goes on for a while until she abruptly pulled away. What is it? I ask out of concern. I don't know. I just got this weird tingly feeling. But now I feel sad and angry and pure hate, she stated as her expression changed to each of the mentioned emotions. My eyes narrowed. So she's sensing emotions? Awesome. This would be good. But who's the one with all these emotions? Ochako, I'm gonna need you to calm down. Take a deep breath and think of the one thing that makes you happy. I instruct. She did as told, and she immediately got a wobbly smile and those love-filled eyes returned. She was about to lean in again before I stopped her. What? She asks worriedly. Ochako, you're beginning to sense emotions. I say with a smile. Her face brightened as she lets out a wide smile. Really? That ain't great. That means that instincts is adapting slowly, right? She asks excitedly. Yeah. I reply with a smile before it turns back to seriousness. But who held all those emotions? I asked. She turned her head to where she felt it from and my eyes land in Ida. No. Why does Ida feel so much hate? It's really scary, she said while whimpering slightly. I hold her tight to reassure her. Don't worry. Sensing emotions can be overwhelming, but you'll get used to it. I reassured her. She nods while holding me tighter. I'm deep in thought until Mr. Aizawa walked in. Mr. Aizawa, Mina shouted. Good morning, class. Nice work at the sports festival. You did a good job. I am proud of all of you. Here are the number of votes from different hero agencies. He said. There was a huge gap in numbers, but basically in went like this. 1. Izuku Midoriya 2. Ochako Uraraka 3. Shoto Todoroki 4. Katsuki Bakugo 5. Fumikage Tokoyami. Whoa, look how many votes Midoriya got. Kaminari exclaimed. Yeah, and Ochako. Jiro agreed. I smiled at this, as did Ochako. Some of you didn't get offers from the festival. Despite this, you'll all be interning with hero agencies, he said as the class cheered. Before this, we'll need to do something very important, he said as people pondered what it could be. We'll be choosing code names. The class erupted into cheers but was silenced by the cold glare of Mr. Aizawa and his quirk's added effect. Choose wisely, because they'll stick, he explains. That is correct, Shota, Midnight exclaims as she walks in as seductively as she can. Of course, class pervs. Mineta and Kaminari are drooling, with Jiro sending a glare at Kaminari. Ochako is eyeing me closely to see if I stare. I chuckled at this and sent 2 small energy balls that blasted Kaminari and Mineta out of their seats. I missed using energy. Midnight will be judging your hero names, because I don't care, he said as he got into his yellow sleeping bag and went to sleep. Okay, any volunteers? Don't be shy, she said while passing out whiteboards and markers. I shall go first, Oyama exclaimed. My hero name is... I cannot stop twinkling, he proudly stated. I sweat dropped at the terrible name, and I apparently was not the only one who hated it. Many of the class thought it was bad. Take out the I and change cannot to can't, and you've got yourself a hero name, Midnight said. Others went up next like Mina, who picked Alien Queen, which I thought was a good name, but apparently Midnight did not think the same. We also had good names like Froppy, Charge Bolt, Earphone Jack, Kriati, and Tsukuyami. Then there were bad names like Shoto, but I gave suggestions like Cold Flame or Freezer Burn, or maybe even Freezing Inferno. I like those. /N. Which name do you want? Then you had Boom Boom Boy with his names King Explosion Murder and Lord Explosion Murder, which were immediately shot down. Hey, I got it. How about you make your name Exploder Brains? Oh, I got it. Boom Boom Boy, I said with an innocent smile as almost everyone started cracking up. Everyone except Ida. Even Todoroki cracked a smile. That's when I knew something was wrong. As Exploder Brains was about to snap, I spoke up again. How about the Explosion Hero Nuke? I suggest. He grumbles while putting the name down and walking back to his seat. Ochako got off of me and presented her hero name, Uravity. I liked it, and so did everyone else. Apparently, it was supposed to represent her control over gravity, and as gravity is a strong force, so is she, which is understandable. It was finally my turn to choose. Okay, I state as I walk up to the front. I was gonna choose Deku as my hero name, but I decide I only wanted it to be special for Ochako, I said as she smiled at me. Now, here's the name I came up with. The instinctive hero, Instincts. This is supposed to represent my quirk and how it relies on the usage of instincts. This also represents my motives as a hero, how I want to save everyone and how I'll rush in to save someone no matter what. My regular instincts, combined with my combative instincts, with my heroic instincts, This is why I am the instinctive hero instincts. I finish. That gets cheers and applause as I get back to my seat and Ochako takes her place on my lap. We're left to decide on what hero agency to go to shortly afterwards. Hey Deku, Ochako called out. Yes, I answered. Do you know who Gran Torino is? I immediately freeze and start sweating and shaking uncontrollably. She notices and gets worried. What's wrong? What happened? She asks worriedly.
Noten. I hotink iu hold gggu.
I say while trying and miserably failing to hide my stutters. Are you sure? He sounds intense. She said worriedly. Yeah, go. It'll be fine. I said after finally gaining control over myself. Okay. She agreed. Where are you going to? I think I'll join the Nighteye agency. It'll be good real-world practice for me. I said, cool, time skip, as we're on our way to the train. I see Ida and he seems off. Hey Ida, I call out as he turns. We're friends. You can talk to us whenever you need to. You know that, right? Then he gives what had to be the fakest smile I've ever seen as he nods his head. I frown as he turns around. Would he really? Are you sure he's okay? Shako asks. Definitely not. I answer. What do you think is gonna happen? He's going to get himself killed. I deadpan. Her eyes widen at this. What do you mean? She asks. I turn to face her and look her dead in the eyes. Heroes and villains are cut from the same cloth. What separates us are our motives and how we use the power we are given. Which means a hero can be just as responsible for a problem as a villain, if not more. You felt it yourself. He is filled to the brim with hatred, practically swimming in it. Hatred consumes, and not everyone is strong enough to combat it, or even willing enough. I answered her. So you mean? She trails off as she puts the pieces together.
It's a stupidità.
I say, continuing her train of thought. The same man who crippled his pro-hero brother is the man he's going after. Stupid. But actions filled with hatred don't require logic. He's going after the hero killer, she said. I nod in confirmation as I turn towards the direction Ida was just in, and I turn back to look Ochako in the eyes. And you're going to stop him. Chapter 16, Gran Torino, third-person POV. What do you mean I'm gonna stop him? Ochako asked her green-haired boyfriend. What else? Once he goes after the hero killer, says something stupid, and then nearly gets himself killed, you are gonna stop him. Deku explains as if it were the most obvious thing ever. Why should I wait till the last moment? She inquired. Well, no matter how fast we go, or how hard we try, us heroes always seem to make it at the last moment. So why not make it cool? He explained. She rolled her eyes at this. Anyways, she continued, how am I supposed to defeat the hero killer? I'm not even at full strength. That's an excuse. He replied. He's more skilled and advanced than me. That's also an excuse. He defeated the likes of Ingenium, a freaking pro-hero. How am I supposed to compete? And that's another excuse. He deadpanned. She growls at him, to which he throws his hands up with a nervous smile in defense. Look, if I were in your shoes, even without your gravity quirk, and if I was restricted to 5%, I'm sure I could find a way to win, he stated. So there's no reason that you should have any problems. She was about to reply. Look, I already defeated every single one of those villains at the USJ, and this is one person. You should really get some villain defeats under your belt, and this is hardly any more difficult than the USJ. He stated matter-of-factly. She grumbled and turned her head, knowing he was right. He put his hands on her shoulders, causing her to look up. I know you can do this. Trust me. This battle will help you in the long run. He explained. What do you mean by that? She asked. He gave her a closed-eyed smile before walking away. You'll figure it out. Bye. Love you. He yelled while walking off. I hate you. No, you don't, he sang. She sighed and smiled a little. She then walked off to her train. On the way there, she had a lot going through her head. I really hope Ida is okay. I don't want to believe what Deku said, but I sensed his emotions myself, albeit sloppily. Emotions don't exactly lie, and Deku has never been wrong about anything before. Like when he said that villains got through UA security slightly before the USJ attack, or even when he said that no one would stop him from winning the sports festival. But this is a whole different thing. He could be charged as a villain if things don't go right. I hope, For Ida's sake, that Deku was wrong. She thought as more thoughts like this entered her head. The train stopped and she walked to her destination. Once she arrived, she took notice that the place looked kind of old. Nonetheless, she knocked on the door. "Hello? I'm Ochako Uraraka from UA High. Is Gran Torino here?" She asked as she walked in, only to find, "Oh, he's dead." She screamed in horror as a small old man lay in a pool of blood on the ground. The old man picked his head up almost instantly. "I'm alive," he stated while getting up. "Oh, he's alive? Quiet down, would you? You're gonna blow my eardrums out," he reprimanded. "Sorry, sir," she apologized. "You just caught me off guard for a second there." "Why were you in a pool of blood?" she asked. "That's not blood. It's ketchup to eat my sausage links with, but I failed to do so. Miserably," he explained. "So, you gonna tell me who you are?" he asked. "Oh, I'm Ochako Uraraka," she cheerfully exclaimed. "Who?" She sweat dropped. "Ochako Uraraka. Pardon, is this really the guy that made Deku so scared?" she questioned in her mind. She was about to reply until she stopped herself and recalled something that Deku told her. "I am the hero of gravity. I can float things just as much as I can crush them. I am Uravity," she said with determination. He smirked at this before replying, "Now that wasn't so hard, was it? How'd you figure that out?" "Well, my boyfriend told me to take pride in the fact that you are a hero, so I remembered that and assumed that this is what you wanted as well," she explained. "Boyfriend? Huh? A young love, still blooming in this day and age. May I ask who he is?"
Gran Torino asked.
"I'm sure you know him. He's the winner of the sports festival and also your former student, from my knowledge," she explained as his eyes widened a little before he started chuckling. Then it got louder and more hysterical until he was straight up cackling. "Ah, Izuka Midoriya, huh?" he stated with an off smile. She reluctantly nodded as she backed up a little. His facial expression could only be described as evil. In the blink of an eye, he was right in front of her and was examining her. "So you're his lover, eh? Surely he wouldn't choose someone weak." Yes. "I'm sure we can make this work. This will be fun," he stated evilly. No wonder Deku was so afraid of this guy, Ochako thought while shivering. He then backed up and went to pick up his dropped food. "I hear that you're the 9th holder of OFA. Is that correct?" he asked. "Yes, it is," she replied. "Why don't you come at me with a OFA smash?" he told her. "What? Are you sure? I might knock things over if I do one in this small place," she said worriedly. "If you can't control it enough to not knock things over, then you're a lousy successor," he said. "Hey!" she yelled in protest. She begun to charge up OFA as requested, up to 25%, which was her max, since she still isn't fully healed. She rushed at him with great speeds as he stood there ready for the attack. Once she got close, he stared straight at her, and as her fist was inches away from his face, he moved his upper body to the right, leaving nothing but a breeze to pass by his face. "Wadash, as I thought," he stated as he started bouncing off of the walls, faster than she could comprehend. She was looking around anxiously, trying to analyze the best form of attack, but to no avail. She threw a punch, but she hit nothing but air, as he was already behind her. "I'll admit, your combat and speed are admirable, better than I could have hoped for," he said as he kept bouncing off the walls and attacking her at the same time. She could hardly even see blurs at this point. "However, you're still far too slow to catch me, especially if I were serious." "He's not being serious?" she thought with shock and fear as she kept getting hit. "That isn't even the problem, though," he continued as Ochako began attempting to block. "As I said, your combat and speed are admirable. However, that hardly matters because at this point, if Izuku were to use more than 15% of his power, he would demolish you no matter how much of OFA you used." "What?" she shouted as she finally was able to strike, but he simply dodged and kicked her in the face, making her slide back a bit. "You see, the fact of the matter is you should be able to see, dodge and attack me right now with the amount of power you are using," he explained. "Seriously? How?" she asked while panting. "For one thing, you need more training in seeing high speeds, so that isn't entirely your fault. However, I know for a fact that you should be able to dodge and attack. But do you know why you can't?" he asked as he began his onslaught once again. Why? She asked while attempting to dodge, but failing. You overthink things, try and analyze what you can't see or understand. You take so much after Izuku in that matter, except he can control it. You, however, cannot. Not only that, but you're green. A novice. An amateur. Your instincts are dull compared to Izuku, or even me. I know all about Ultra Instinct, after all, I helped train the boy myself, which is why I'm so much faster than you right now. But that shouldn't matter. Instincts is one thing, but pure instincts is another, and you lack in pure instincts. Your instincts should be sharp enough to allow you to dodge or even attack me, but you are inexperienced. I can only assume that you rushed something within your training. There are people that have not been through this type of training, yet still have sharper instincts. You force yourself with attacks, which is why you can't attack me. The fact of the matter is, without your gravity quirk, you wouldn't have even put up a challenge to Izuku. He stated, her eyes widened in realization. He's right. My gravity quirk did aid me the most. Deku was restricted. I had so many advantages. You're distracted, Gran Torino said before kicking her upside the head. Izuku would have dodged that without instincts, and caught and attacked me with instincts. You aren't good enough yet. Ochako looked down while all this sunk in. Am I not good enough? Why did Deku say all those things then?
Was he lying?
No, he would tell me if I wasn't strong enough. He must have meant it's good enough for now. But I still have a long way to go. I guess sensing those emotions were just after effects of me going into instincts. Gran Torino kept attacking as Ochako willed herself to try and attack back. He kept attacking with Ochako slowly starting to get used to his movement. Once he went around and was about to kick her back, she turned around and punched him in the face. Yes, she thought. Then he rebounded off the wall and zoomed towards her and kicked her in the face, knocking her down. He stood over her after the kick. Dull. As I said, while you're analyzing that you picked up from Izuku is useful, it won't help you in battles where your opponent is faster and has sharper instincts than you. You are not in the right state of mind. How you achieved instincts at the sports festival is a mystery to me. However, for the first day, this was better than I expected. Good job, he said, going from serious to his goofy act. She slowly began to pass out from all the kicks and punches given to her. Her training basically went like that from that day on. It was tough at first, but she slowly got used to it. Even though her power and speed were sufficient, she still found it hard to hit him. That's because of his unpredictable movements. Even if you were to somehow predict them, he is fast enough to just turn the tables against you. She tried and tried to hit or even dodge him, and while she was improving, she still wasn't getting the point. Here we find her on the ground, panting. Why can't I hit you? I thought I was getting better. She complained out loud. You are improving, but you still are not getting the point. You aren't in the right state of mind. He replied, what does that even mean? She asked frustratingly. I'm going to get a snack, he said while completely ignoring her question and walking away. She was still left on the ground, but was thinking, not in the right state of mind. What does that mean? He must be talking about my instincts. But what does that have to do with anything? Okay, let's see. Your instincts don't technically require you to think, just do. Instincts or ultra instinct takes advantage of that. So while in a subconscious state, ultra instinct dodges instantaneously and instincts alerts you to dodge. All in all, they don't have to see or hear their opponent. And they look so cool while doing it too. So graceful. Her eyes widened. That's it. Her tiredness quickly wore off as she shot back to her feet. Not in the right state of mind. Forcing attacks. It all makes sense. I missed the importance when I skipped part of my training. She quickly ran into the kitchen.
Gran Torino.
She shouted out, which greatly startled Gran Torino, making his snack drop. No!
My snack.
He yelled while crying anime tears. Never mind that, let's spar. She shouted with joy. Fine. This way I'll get you back for my snacks. He replied. You ready? He asked once they got out of the kitchen. Yeah, she replied. He then started to bounce off of the wall with great speeds, getting ready for an attack. Meanwhile, Ochako is just standing there, not moving, her eyes closed. Your instincts are essentially feelings that your body gets to warn you of possible danger or other things. that we typically wouldn't notice. When I used instincts last time, I could feel everything around me, like I could sense it, but since I can't stay in instincts all the time like Deku, then I have to rely on my instinctive reactions, which are dull right now. So if I combine my analyzing with my instincts, I should be able to stop him and overpower him with OFA, at least until I sharpen my instincts, she thought. As Gran Torino was bouncing off the wall, he eventually went for a kick to the head. Now, Ochako instinctively bobbed her head back to avoid the kick. He is still super fast with this small place to aid him, he'll rebound. But where? True to her word, he rebounded and went for her legs, while she still had her back bended. Before he could hit her legs though, she jumped up like a spinning corkscrew and slammed Gran Torino to the ground and held him there. She opened her eyes. I did it? She questioned herself. You sure did, kiddo, he said while chuckling. But how? You see, in order to get the full effect of instincts, your mind must be calm. You mustn't stress your mind more than needed. This throws off your trained instincts and causes overthinking. Once you steeled your resolve and remembered what instincts and even ultra instinct is like, you were able to calm your mind and combine your analysis skills with your pure instincts, which helped you. Although you still have a long way to go, you've done well, Ochako. Gran Torino congratulated her. Ochako had wide eyes and then let out an ear-to-ear grin as she and Gran Torino got up. Thank you, sir, she exclaimed cheerfully. Now let's go. We're taking a trip to Hosu. We're going after the hero killer, he said. Her eyes widened once again. You mean I have permission to help you? She asked. Yes, he answered. I believe this will be your EXT step in your journey to become the next symbol of peace. All right, she said and walked out with Gran Torino. They were on a train to Hosu while Ochako was thinking about a certain blue-haired friend of hers. It's good that I have permission. I think I'll need it. Judging by this text left on read, I'd say he's focused right now. Probably on the wrong thing. I really hope you're okay, Ida. Suddenly the train came to a halt. Then a flying Nomu busted through the train with a hero on the not-so-pleasant end of it. Wait, isn't that one of those bird things that they brought to the USJ? But what are they doing here? And wasn't there a bigger one? Without wings? Gran Torino attacked the Nomu before any more damage could be done. Try and help out if you can in the city, he shouted to her. She nodded and charged up OFA to a low percentage and flicked her fingers continually to allow her to somewhat fly. She made sure it was a low percentage so that there wouldn't be too much damage. She flew to Hosu to see a bunch of Nomus attacking. Pros were struggling against them and one of them was about to be killed. Ochako immediately rushed in with a 25% smash and punched the Nomu in the head, which knocked it into a building. She quickly took the Nomu and slammed it into the other Nomus that were attacking, and they landed in the fires, which made them burn. Ochako made sure not to kill them though. Thanks for the save, kid, the pro she saved said. Don't mention it, she replied. She then ran off further into the city. Why were there so many of those things attacking the city? Either it's National Nomu Day or the League of Villains is back, she concluded. But how are they back? Didn't Deku defeat them? Weren't they in prison? They must have been broken out, but by who? And why Hosu? These questions began piling up in her head until she came to a conclusion. Nomus. League of Villains.
Hero killer.
Can't be a coincidence. The League of Villains is back and has recruited the hero killer. As she was concluding, she passed an alleyway and saw something terrifying. It was Ida, on the ground with a sword through his shoulder and the hero killer standing over him with a sword, ready to pierce him. Ochako immediately rushed in without much thought and jumped off of the walls much like Gran Torino and launched at the hero killer. Smea Asish, she shouted as she clocked the hero killer in the face, which sent him into the wall. She landed in front of Ida with pink electricity covering her.
Uraraka.
Ida asked slightly weakly. Ida, you idiot. If we don't die tonight, then I promise I will kill you myself, she shouted in frustration. She turned back to the hero killer as he was beginning to get up. That was quite a punch there, girl, he stated. You are indeed strong, but you don't match the description Shigaraki gave me, which means I have no business with you. She narrowed her eyes. What description? She asked. Green hair, green eyes, super strong, male. Something along the lines of that, he answered. Her eyes widened. I see you know of him. I'm very interested in this boy who took care of Shigaraki so easily. Maybe I'll see if he is a true hero like All Might. If he's worthy of living, he said with steeled resolve. However, at the moment, my business is with the fake hero and the vengeance-filled brat over there, both equally fake and in need of extermination. She immediately got into a fighting stance. "No way. I won't back down from you," she shouted. She turned back to Ida. "Don't you worry, Ida. I'm going to save you." Chapter 17. Nighteye, Deku POV. As I said goodbye to Ochako, I headed over to my destination, the Nighteye agency. I knew a lot about him. Like, for example, he used to be All Might's sidekick. Long story short, All Might is incredibly stubborn and usually doesn't listen to reason. Hence, the creation of the Nighteye agency. I take the train there and I get recognized from the sports festival, mainly by girls. "Oh my gosh, are you Izuku Midoriya? Wow, it's you. You were so cool and strong. Hey, you're the hot guy from the sports festival. Are you dating anyone? Come here and I'll really show you my many quirks. Marry me. I have a lot of fans." Before I could get mauled by the crowd of horny fangirls, my stop came. Trust me, I didn't need instincts to speed out of there. Anyways, I showed up to the agency and it was finally safe. I got in, and when I did, I ran into a guy that looked like he was from a cartoon. "Hey there, you're the winner of the sports festival, right? It's so nice to meet you. Are you here to intern?" he said cheerfully. I took this time to observe him. He had blonde hair that shot upwards, blue round eyes as well. Definitely a cartoon character, but I chose not to say that to him. Yeah, I'm here to intern with Nighteye," I replied. "All right," he exclaimed cheerfully. "Sir would love to meet you," he said as he dragged me there. Wow, cartoon boy is interesting. As I was dragged to Nighteye, he started talking to me. "You know, if you want to get on Sir's good side, you should make him laugh," he suggested. I raised an eyebrow at this. If you've ever seen Sir Nighteye before, laughing is not the word that comes to mind. I've literally never seen him crack even the tiniest of smiles before. Ever. He looks more like a lawyer that failed at his job and then decided to become a math teacher, but dealt with a kid like Bakubum and literally gave up on life. Yup, a very accurate description. Anyways, we got to his office and opened the door to find some lady strapped to a tickling machine and what appeared to be Nighteye watching this happen. So, she was being forced to laugh, huh? Yeah. I'll just see myself out, I state as I hastily turned to walk away before being stopped by the cartoon guy. "Hey, wait. Look, Sir just like smiling and laughing," he said, trying to justify the man's actions. "And because of that, he had a machine created to force those things out of people?" His sweat dropped and tried to continue. "Well, when you put it like that, if he wanted smiles and laughs, he could just keep feathers on him, but a machine?" I said. All this ruckus alerted Nighteye for him to stop making the lucky lady laugh. He then turned to me with the most serious expression ever, like what he was just doing was completely normal. "You must be Izuku Midoriya, correct?" he asked. "Depends. Are you gonna tickle me to death if I say yes?" asked. He seemed amused by this but barely showed it. "And if I say yes, then I'm Izumu Miploria. Nice to meet you," I said with a grin. The cartoon guy next to me burst out laughing while I was smiling and chuckling a little. I was honestly surprised and a little scared that he was smiling, but didn't show a lot of it. "Izumu Miploria," cartoon guy repeated in between laughs. "I guess you do have a sense of humor. I'll give you points on that. There is no doubt you are strong, but I want to test you myself. I want to see why you were the original pick for OFA," he said with no trace of a smile left. "What do you mean? Ochako's a great successor as is. Why should that matter?" I asked. "You mean the girl? There I doubt that she would make a fine successor, especially after all I've seen of her before. As of right now, I still think that Mirio here would be a better successor. But I can see potential." "Your name is Mirio?" asked. I'm gonna pretend I understood everything up until that last question and say yes. "I am Mirio Togoda," he replied. "Oh, okay, I'm still calling you cartoon guy. Anyways, let's get on with it," he said while making direct eye contact with me. "Okay," I replied. "I'm ready." Mirio stepped out and it was just us. "I've seen you fight. I know you're strong and fast, but to what extent?" You get one chance to hit me. If you fail, you cannot be an intern here. Understood, he said. I nodded in understanding. He stood there, waiting. My eyes turn silver as everything around me starts floating. The silver aura of instincts release covers me and lets itself out as the objects, previously floating, go flying across the room. I raise my hand up and form a fist. I slightly threw it forward and created a shockwave small enough to feel like a long-ranged punch, and it hit his stomach faster than he was able to dodge, and he doubled over and held his stomach. I guess I shouldn't have underestimated you, he said while still holding his stomach. No, you shouldn't have. I know all about your quirk, future sight. You are able to see someone's future if you make direct eye contact with them and touch them, which you slyly did beforehand. I replied, the problem is, it can only be one person for the span of 24 hours. Also, unless you are fast enough, it won't matter if you can see my next attack or not. On top of that, being ill-prepared didn't help with things either. Your analysis was spot on. Excellent work, he said with an actual smile. I'd say you're already good for patrol. You'll be with Mirio while you're patrolling, he informed me. Thank you, sir, I said while bowing. After that, I kept on patrolling with Mirio, and we kept on encountering a bunch of low-level villains and thugs. Mirio kept making me take them on, so I never got to see his quirk in action. He's still a mystery. One day of patrolling, I sensed something off about the area. I was right. When a little girl in a sand-colored ragged dress ran into my leg, arms and legs covered in bandages. I didn't need to feel the way she was tightening her grip on me to know she's scared. She's practically oozing fear at this point. She's so scared. But why? Are you okay there, little girl? Mirio asked worriedly. She didn't say anything and just held onto my leg tighter. I just stared at her, observing her every move. I raised my arm up and it covered in a blue, white, and purple combination of heat. I placed my heat-covered hand onto her head and her head shot up to mine. I gave her a warm smile. I promise everything is gonna be okay, I said reassuringly. I am here. She just stared at me before letting out a huge grin and a small giggle. Okay, she said with a huge smile. Mirio was just standing and staring at us, wide-eyed. What did you do? Instincts? Mirio or Lemillion asked. I altered her emotions, I replied nonchalantly. What? Why you can do that? He asked in disbelief. Well, yeah, I understand how emotions work since I understand how the body works. Considering the fact that I can read people's minds and emotions, I combine that with my heat, and since I know what causes emotions, I can simply alter them. Like, for example, she was scared and distressed. The first step to altering that would be to make her feel safe, which warming her up would do by instinct. I explained. He just dumbly nodded in response. I sensed an incredible amount of evil and bloodlust nearby, and I knew it was the owner of these bandages on this girl's arm. Where are you, Eri? He asked. He then showed himself, and before he could speak, he was knocked back into the wall so fast that it could have been like he wasn't even there. If it weren't for the loud crash and the huge dent in the wall, you might have been able to sell it. What was that? Mirio asked. Sorry. It's just that when innocent people, let alone little girls, get hurt by bad people, sometimes I just can't control myself, I state darkly as I glare daggers down the alleyway. Daddy? What was that? The now dubbed Eri asked. I widened my eyes at the new, affectionate label she gave me. Daddy, Mirio repeated. Okay, so maybe I went overboard on altering her emotions. I'm still trying to control it, but I guess I failed. Miserably. I can see all her memories now. It's no wonder she called me that. She would have done it anyways, sooner or later. I'm the closest to that label that she's ever encountered. I answer. I turn back to Eri as I answer her question. Don't worry about it, Eri. Just know that you'll be safe as long as I'm here. I answer with a smile. She grins and nods her head rapidly. So that's what happened. Just now. Sir Nighteye said as he looked at me with Eri in my arms and Mirio next to me who was scratching his head. Yeah, he replied with a sweat drop. Nighteye sighed as he continued. Did you at least find out who the villain was?
Uno.
He got away. I answered. Okay, he said with a sigh. At least this girl is safe. We'll get the answers out of her soon. But first, what are you gonna do with her? Well, no matter what, she's not gonna stop labeling me as her dad, so might as well make it official. We'll talk with Yue about this. Besides, Ochako would love to meet her. I replied, "Who's Ochako? That's a pretty name. Ua, is she my mommy?" She asked with stars in her eyes. I smiled at this and nodded. "And she's real pretty too, but also strong, just like Daddy," she said while pumping her fist into the air. Heh, I can't wait for Ochako's reaction, I said while grinning at her priceless face once I tell her about Eri. "Anyways, Night," I said, interrupting my thoughts. "The hero killer is still a problem and is in Hosu. I need you to go and help take him down." "By myself?" asked. "Yes, if you're up to it," he answered. "All right," I said while grinning. "Yay, Daddy is gonna go be a hero," she said excitingly. She's gotten increasingly happier ever since we rescued her. Probably a side effect of me altering her emotions. She doesn't seem to mind though, so neither do I. "Yup, and I'll make sure to bring your mom over soon," I said while smiling at her. Yay! I leave Eri in the care of Mirio and Nighteye as I head to Hosu. Let's see. It's about nighttime, which means the hero killer is probably hunting for a fake hero. I'd say Ida will go after him, do something stupid, like charge straight at him with no plan whatsoever and get his butt handed to him, and probably get stabbed. Definitely get stabbed. Then Ochako will show up and save him, also scold him for being stupid, and then steal her resolve and make the challenge in front of her a priority. Say her first heroic words on her journey to become symbol of peace. "Don't you worry, Ida. I'm going to save you," I hear Ochako say as I land on top of a rooftop, watching this ensue. This will definitely be interesting. I'll be watching Ochako. Chapter 18, Hero Killer. "Don't you worry, Ida. I'm going to save you," I yell out in confidence. I wasn't stupid. While I may be physically stronger, Stain was a veteran while I was a novice. It would take more than just me to defeat him. I use my phone hidden behind my back and send my location. "As I said before, you aren't my target," he started. "But if you continue to get in my way, then so be it. Die." The hero killer lunged forward to attack me. I managed to dodge under a blade that came way too close to decapitating me. I've got to be careful. Deku wouldn't like it if I ended up headless. I turned to see that he rebounded and is going straight at me once again. I flick my fingers at him to knock him off balance. It works, and I manage to hit him with one air bullet to send him back a little. I use this opportunity to rush at him quickly. He instinctively swings a blade that once again almost hits me, but I'm able to jump over it and land a solid punch to the face which knocks him into a wall. I look at my own fist. That was too close. He nearly got me again. I have to be more careful. I can't even use 25% here, or the surrounding area will feel the effects as well. I need to limit myself to about 15%. Even then, will I be fast enough? He's really fast and has sharper instincts. No wonder Deku wanted me to fight him. I look up to see him wiping blood off of his mouth. "I need to be careful of you. Too many of those and it would not be good for me." "Oh well, I deal with you so I can get back to purging those two fakes," he said. "No way. I won't let you. I'll stop you here, even if it's the last thing I do," I shouted back.
Uraraka no.
"This is my fight. Just stay out of it. It's my job to bring that criminal to justice. This doesn't concern you," Ida said from the ground. "I don't want to hear any of that. If this is your fight, then why are you on the ground? Besides, it's a true hero's nature to meddle where they're not needed," I reply. "Such conviction." I hear Stain say, Yes, that is a true hero's nature. I wonder if you are a true hero or just another fake." He lunges at me and swings his sword. I dodge again and go for an attack. He gets under my guard and goes for an attack straight to jaw with the hilt of his sword, which connects. He then hits my stomach with the hilt of his sword once again. I get sent back a little and spit out a little blood. He's really tough. Maybe I can use flashback. The fact of the matter is, without your gravity quirk, you wouldn't have even put up a challenge to Izuku. Flashback end. No, I can't use gravity manipulation here. I need to get stronger with OFA. I can use them in conjunction once I get stronger, but for now, I have to do this with OFA. I look up at the hero killer once more. Maybe I can use his style. I charge up OFA and start bouncing off the walls with incredible speed to confuse him. I attack continuously with repeated attacks that continue to badly affect him. I go for the final attack when suddenly all movement in my body stops. My body feels like it's frozen in ice, like I was paralyzed. Those quick attacks were weaker than your full-out attacks. This allowed me to buy time, and now you're done. If it's any consolation, those quick attacks still hurt a lot. The hero killer said as he began walking towards Ida. Sorry, but it's over now. I continue to struggle to move as I look to see my arm have a little cut. What is even going on? When did he cut me? No, don't. I yell out in desperation, but they only fall to deaf ears. He gets closer and closer before he abruptly jumps back from a wave of fire. Uraraka. I hear a voice call out. I look up to see Todoroki with his left side lit up. Next time, be more specific with your messages. Anyone else would have looked past it, but I realized that if you're anything like Midoriya, you don't send cryptic messages. Todoroki, I shout in excitement. Another bug that came to be squashed. You are the son of Endeavor, are you not? I wonder, are you as much a fake as your father? Stain asked while looking straight at Todoroki. You'll find that I'm nothing like my father, Hero Killer. I plan on bringing you in. Todoroki replied. Todoroki, you too? Ida exclaimed in shock. Why are you here? This is my job. My fight. This concerns neither of you. I have to carry on my brother's name. So you're Ingenium now? Todoroki asked. That's funny. I don't remember Ingenium having that look on his face. Todoroki shot more fire as the hero killer dodged. I've been worried about you since the end of the sports festival. That look on your face. I had the same thing before Midoriya changed me. That's how I knew you weren't okay. But to go to such lengths. I'll admit, I didn't think you would do something like this. But I guess I was wrong. Todoroki kept shooting his fire as the hero killer dodged. While watching this, I realized something. I can move. But why? Does it have something to do with this cut? Maybe it's the blood. I decide not to move and continue observing for the perfect chance. I noticed that my blood that should be on his blade wasn't there. It looked like it was there, but it's not there anymore. Did he consume it or something? If so, then that means that if he consumes your blood, it will paralyze you. But for how long? What is the time limit? Wait, if there was a time limit, then why are Ida and Native still paralyzed? Maybe it's the blood type? Yeah, that makes more sense. I guess Deku has been rubbing off on me more than I thought. I spot the perfect chance and I rush at the hero killer and sweep his legs. While off balance, Todoroki shoots ice out at him while I flick my fingers. The combined force of our attacks sends him back. This is getting annoying, he said frustratingly as he rushes back at us. Why? Ida began. Why do you still fight for me? Because that's what heroes do. I yell back as I struggle to dodge his attacks. A true hero never goes back on their word. They keep their promises. Do you really want to make your brother proud? Then get up and be Ingenium. Todoroki shouts as he shoots another stream of fire. Ida struggles to get up while all this is going on. He continues his efforts and gets up to help us. Recipro extend. He yells out as he rushes towards us at incredible speeds. He kicks Stain across the place and lands in front of us. Uraraka, Todoroki, thank you. Your words have truly helped me. I'm sorry for the trouble I've caused you. No worries, Ida. I reply with a smile. Yeah, no problem. Todoroki replies, yeah. Now let's finish this once and for all, right? They both shout in unison. Todoroki, can you try and regulate the temperature of my engines? I can try, he shouts as he does as said. Come on, Uraraka, he shouts. Let's go. Todoroki erupts in ice as it covers the whole place. The ice rises, giving me a place to fly off of as well as Ida. We rush onto our personal hills of ice as the hero killer tries to dodge ice being shot at him. He gets hit with some, sending him towards us. Ida gets his legs ready, while I get my fist ready. With a battle cry, we connect our attacks, and severely damaged Stain. While falling, I bounced off the wall and with one final punch knocked the hero killer, midair into the ground, effectively finishing him. Is it over? Asked. Yeah. Todoroki replied. I thank you both for this, Ida said while bowing. I smile at this as I go over to Native and help him up. You have one awesome quirk there. You'll be an amazing hero, he told me, which only makes me grin. After we carry our respective bodies out of the alley, were met by some heroes. Ah, Ochako, I see you took care of things, Gran Torino said with a smile. Yup, and with help, I reply with a smile. Whoa, that's the hero killer, one of the heroes said as he and some other heroes came to apprehend him properly. While this was going on, we were talking to the adults and loud screeching noise brings us out of our conversation. What was that? Asked. Before anyone could say anything, a Nomu came from the sky and swept me from the ground. Oh no, how did I let this happen? Before the Nomu could get any further, a figure came out of nowhere, jumped up, and stabbed the Nomu straight in the head. The figure grabbed me and landed on the ground while the Nomu flew into a fire that burnt him to a crisp. I look up to see the figure was none other than the hero killer. Fakes, he started. Hero killer Stain, I actually kinda wanted to fight you, and now I have the chance, Endeavor said with a smirk. You're all fakes, he angrily shouted. The amount of bloodlust and pure hatred in the air was enough to bring everyone to their knees and feel nothing but fear. All of you are nothing but fakes. I am here to purge you from this world. The word hero has lost all meaning in this cursed world. This world is run by fakes like you, stealing the title of hero. I vow to destroy all you fakes. Watch your backs, you fake heroes. As long as I'm here, your days are numbered, he shouted out as all of us were frozen with fear, too afraid to speak or move. This girl, All Might, they are the only ones that have permission to bring me in, to kill me. They are worthy. No one else but these two are true heroes. Then suddenly he fell to the ground, face first. We recovered from our fear to see Deku standing there, with his arm out and a bored expression plastered on his face. Well, he certainly has conviction, that's for sure, he said as he yawned.
Deku.
Asked. He looks over at me and smiles. Oh right, I forgot that would affect you guys, he said as he scratched the back of his head. I was openly gaping at the fact that he wasn't affected in the least by all that. Great job, Ochako. You really made me proud, he said as he walked towards me. Wait, he was watching this the entire time? Before I could fully process what was just said, he said something else. Oh, and by the way, we have to leave and go see our new daughter, he exclaimed happily. That, I promptly fainted. Ha, maybe that was a bit much. Those were the last things I heard before consciousness fully takes over me. Chapter 19. Meet the Daughter, third-person POV. As everyone was getting settled in the classroom, the topic that was most popular was the most recent fight, which was, of course, the hero killer. Have you guys heard the latest news? Kaminari asked. About the hero killer? Kirishima answered. Yeah, Kaminari confirmed. He's all over the news. Apparently he used to be someone that admired heroes but turned on them after he discovered an uprising of what he called fakes. Whoa, really? Shiro asked in disbelief. I know, right? Kaminari exclaimed with a grin. It's actually kinda dash. Just as Kaminari was about to continue, the door was slammed open to reveal Bakugo in his usually angry facial expression, which looked even angrier. At first, the class was just going to look over this as typical Bakugo, but then they looked again to see him with an interesting hairstyle. The class openly gaped at this new Bakugo while the man himself was seething. Don't, you, dare, he said threateningly while grinding his teeth. This, however, did not stop the class from erupting into furious laughter. This only made Bakugo even more angry as he stomped his way to his desk. Kirishima and Shiro were loving every second of this and were not afraid to show it with their comical expressions. Nice haircut,
Shiro shouted in pure amusement.
Very nice. Do me next, Kirishima yelled out while literal tears were falling from his eyes. I hate all of you, Bakugo shouted as his hair returned to its usual spikiness due to his outburst. Look, it went back to normal, Kirishima shouted in between laughs. Bakugo was about to blow their heads off until the door was once again slammed open. The class stopped and turned to see the ruckus while some felt bad for the door. They were quite shocked at what they saw. It was Deku and Uraraka arguing. They've known these two for a good while and never in any of that time have they ever seen them argue, so it was a bit shocking. But not nearly as shocking as it was to see a child, no older than 6, on Deku's shoulders. It should be me.
No me.
We all know that the child always loves the dad more. Oh, you know that is not true, yeah? Well, it will be true for me. Idiot. Oh. So now you're calling me names? That is disrespectful to your mate and master. Apologize. I'll apologize once you give me what I want. Never. Fine then. You complete idiot. Nah. What are you? A child? That last one was Eri, the child upon the shoulders of Deku, who was too happy and giddy to even know what was going on, but still found this quite amusing. Well, look at that. Poor Eri can't even control her own laughs because of you. Idiot. Well, excuse me. I'm sorry you would rather her be a traumatized child with nothing but nightmares of torture. Better yet, why don't I just alter her emotions again, so she can be like Bakugo? 'Cause that will be so much better, right? Right? Don't patronize me. I'll send you to the moon. I'd like to see you try. I'll just fly back down and take Eri myself. Then I'll just take her back over my dead body. That can be arranged. Whoa. Mina shouted to calm them down. Why don't you just relax and dash? Shut up. Was I talking to you? Poor Mina, who was just trying to calm things down, is now in a corner, sulking to herself with Kirishima trying to cheer her up. Look at that. You made Mina sad, you jerk. Am I the one that told her to shut up? That's what I thought. Don't pin the blame on me. I'm here frieden. I could never make her sad. Well, look at that. Turn around and you'll find otherwise. Eventually Bakugo had enough and decided to end it his way, with a bang. Shut up. You are so annoying. Stop arguing. Sit down. And tell that brat to go somewhere else. Bakugo shouted while exploding a desk. In not even a second, Bakugo was pinned to the ground, harshly. All you could see were pink and silver blurs. The only thing holding back Ochako from snapping Bakugo's arm right then and there was that there was a child in the room. Ochako was pinning Bakugo down while ever so slowly ripping his arm out of its socket, OFA 50% showing in all its powerful glory. Meanwhile, Deku, who was in his instincts power-up form 10%, was just crouched down, his cold silver eyes glaring holes into the already suffering Bakugo. Watch your tongue, you trash, Deku said coldly as he continued to glare daggers into Bakugo. We'll only say this once, so listen up, Ochako said as she tightens her grip on him. You will address her with the name given to her, Eri. Deku continued. If you ever disregard or disrespect my daughter again. Ochako began as she was mere seconds away from ripping the explosive boy's arm off.
I'll kill you.
They both said at the same time. Ochako let him go roughly and got up while deactivating OFA. Deku stood up and released his power-up form, making instincts go back to its dormant form. They turned around and saw the class openly gaping at them. What? They asked in unison.
Www od was techadat.
Toru shakily asked.
Didi docteur.
Jiro asked as well. Oh, that was a warning, Ochako said as she glared at the now passed-out Bakugo, who had passed out due to the pain of having an arm nearly ripped off very slowly and painfully. As for the daughter thing, well, I'll just tell you, Deku said. Flashback, it was a little after the big fight with the hero killer. Ida had just found out that he won't be able to use his left hand like normal anymore. The price of revenge. This, however, fueled his drive to be a hero. While Todoroki was feeling sad about being the hand crusher, Ochako was beginning to wake up after being passed out from injuries and shock/surprise. Ida and Todoroki were long gone after they were scolded by the police department, which did not include Ochako for specific reasons. Ochako was still in her own room, passed out. She began to stir and light started to creep into her vision as she began lifting her eyelids to welcome the sun's rays. What happened? She asked herself. You passed out, a voice replied, which caused Ochako to scream in shock and hold her chest in fear and in shock while breathing heavily. I really gotta stop almost killing you, Deku replied while scratching the back of his head. Deku, don't scare me like that, the brunette berated him. Yeah, don't worry about it, he replied nonchalantly, which made Ochako pout. She then felt eyes on her, so she turned her head to see a small girl with silver hair and red eyes with a small little horn on her head. The girl stared at the brunette curiously before turning to Deku with a huge grin.
She is so pretty.
Is she my mommy? The child asked excitingly. Ochako lightly blushed from the compliment and showed a grin of her own to the child. I definitely am, cutie. My name is Ochako. What's your name? I'm Eri. The girl, now named Eri, replied. I am 6. That means I need 2 hands to count how old I am, which means I'm a big girl, she said while pumping her fist into the air. Deku had a heart squeeze at how cute she was being while Ochako squealed. You are a big girl, aren't you? I promise to be the best mommy I can. Don't worry, mommy. As long as you are here right now saying this to me, truthfully truthfully, Deku corrected. Truthfully, she said again. Then you are already the best mommy I could have, she finished enthusiastically. This caused a wide smile to come from Ochako as she hugged Eri tightly. There was a knock on the door suddenly, and Deku went to open it. It was the chief of the police department. Hello, I am here to speak with Ochako Uraraka. Oh sure. Come in, she's just resting, Deku replied. Thank you, the dog person replied. He stepped in and began to approach Ochako. What do you need, sir? Ochako asked respectfully and curiously. I am the chief of the police department, and it has come to my attention that you and a couple of students fought the hero killer, he stated. Yes, we did, Ochako replied. Who's the talking doggy? Eri asked with stars in her eyes. Not now, Eri, Deku said with a sweat drop as he picked up Eri. Anyways, the chief began. Normally, I would have to punish you and your friends for this act since it directly goes against the law to engage in combat with quirks without a license. However, since you got permission, we'll let it slide for now. But do try not to make it a huge habit. Yes, sir, Ochako replied. I would also like to thank you for your services as I did your friends. However, in order for them not to get in any trouble, they will not be receiving the credit. But we will say that Endeavor defeated the hero killer while you were able to help out, he said. This is the only way I can ensure that you or your friends don't face repercussions. Thank you so much, sir, Ochako said with a smile. It's no problem. I will take my leave now. Flashback end. Then after that, we were able to get out of the hospital and head to UA to talk about Eri since I saved her and all. Deku finished. Saved her from who? Sue asked. I have absolutely no idea, Deku replied with a sheepish smile. I kinda just acted without thinking, but I'm sure the name will come up sooner or later. Anyways, Ochako continued, we went to UA to sort out the business with Eri. We were able to adopt her with the help of UA, but for the time being, she has to stay with one of us. Which should be me, not a chance. And from there they continued their arguing, to which the class sweat dropped and Eri was just laughing at how funny her new parents were. Aizawa walked in to see the commotion, and at what he saw, he simply turned around and walked away. I'm getting too tired for all of this. Chapter 20, Final Exams. Stupid Ochako, I muttered while rubbing my now red right cheek. I should have known not to try and argue with a woman. You'll always lose. I'm saying this because Ochako was the one that got to keep Eri after all. She's gonna be living together with us anyways. Still, I wanted her to live with me now. I guess it doesn't matter though. Payback will come soon enough. It's only a matter of how and when. I come to this conclusion while flying home from school after a day full of arguing gone wrong. We had also started finals today, but the tests were the least of my problems at the time. The thing that made it hard to focus were the constant murderous glares I would receive from Ochako. Not to mention Eri's constant giggling, but that was just a bonus. I ended up doing pretty well on the test, so I'm not worried about failing. I'm more so worried about the practical exams, or interested in the practical exams and what they're gonna bring. As I get home, I get a phone call. Hello? I answer the call. Midoriya, we have a favor to ask. Mr. Aizawa? What is it? I replied, it's about the practical, the next day. Oh, this is gonna be good. So very, very good. You may be wondering why I am saying that. Well, let's just say, that call from yesterday was very enlightening. I went to school with what had to be the most smug look I've ever wore on my face, and everyone knew it. I sat in my seat and waited for the bell with a smug smile on my face. As I was reminiscing about how much fun I could have, Ochako approached me. Hey Deku, she said in a cheerful tone. I stopped my reminiscing and turned to look at her with a small glare. Go away, child stealer. I dismissed her. She seemed taken aback by this and pouted. Come on. You can't still be mad about that, right? She whined. What was that? Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you over the sound of you slapping me in the face. I replied, that's petty and you know it. She complained. However, I still crossed my arms and refused to listen to her. Come on. What do you want? A handshake? A high five? A hug? A kiss? She asked innocently. I only glared again. Don't turn my words against me. I shouted while pointing a finger at her while making a comical, angry expression. She smiled at seeing me in my childish ways and giggled a little. I'm sorry if I upset you, Deku. She apologized with a soft smile. I just really wanted the chance to be the best mom I could be. We're both new at this, so we got a little carried away. But I promised to be better. She finished. I smiled at this as she pecked me on my lips and hugged me. You really are amazing, Ochako. She giggled at this as she let go and sat on my lap. It was silent for a while until she broke it. So I hear you know what the practical is gonna be about. Are you kidding me? Is that why you said all that? To soften me up so you can drain me for details? For shame, Ochako. For shame, I exclaimed. Oh, relax. She laughed. It was just something I heard and I was curious. MHM. Yeah, sure. And I'm All Might's secret love child dash. I knew it. Shut up. Todoroki. Midoriya. Why won't you just admit it? Todoroki asked calmly. Because it's not true. I fired back. But you just said dash. It was sarcasm, Todoroki. Sarcasm. I explained while anime tears were streaming down my face. Well, if you say so. He told me before turning to openly stare at Momo. I could practically see the lies come out his mouth as he said that, which made my eye twitch in anger. But I just ignored it. What I was focused on was the fact that he was staring at Momo. He was making no effort to make it look like he wasn't either. He was just staring at her. He wasn't even blushing, not that I could see. Just staring. You know, traditionally, your mouth does more talking than your eyes, weirdo. I tell the dual quirk user. He turns to me in a confused manner. What? Isn't this what friends do? He asked me. Eh? I exclaimed in surprise. You didn't do that for me? Did you? Well, no. But I thought it was different for the opposite gender. He explained. Well, did you do that to Ochako? I asked. No. Maybe there's something wrong with me? He mused. There definitely is something wrong with you. I thought. It's obvious that he has a crush on Momo. That's what's wrong with him. Wait, doesn't she like him too? Wait, didn't I eavesdrop on the girls talking about their crushes that one time before the final round of the sports festival? Oh yeah, I did. Wait, why haven't I told people yet? He's got you worked up. Ochako mused. I turned back to her as I replied. It's fine. He'll get his later, probably in more ways than one. I replied to the girl on my lap. So you do know something about the practical, she said while pointing an accusing finger at me. I took her finger, put it to the side, and got straight in her face, and her face turned red. I could feel her breath on my mouth and it only made me smirk. I got closer to her and whispered hotly in her ear. I don't know what you're talking about. I ended with a small bite of her ear. Her face turned crimson as she hid her face in my shirt to avoid eye contact while wallowing in her embarrassment. I smiled and kissed the top of her head. While she had gotten more confident and fierce over the time period of our relationship, she's still just a cute little cinnamon roll when it comes to me. All right, everyone, Mr. Aizawa said after walking into the classroom. Today is the final day of the written portion of your final exam. So, Ashido, sit down, Todoroki, turn around, Bakugo, get your feet off the desk, Uraraka, get off of Midoriya, and everybody shut up, or I expel you all. Everyone immediately did as told to avoid Mr. Aizawa's wrath. Okay, now begin. I looked at the test and started to go to work. I had done problems like these before during my training, but most of these ones were different. It wasn't a huge problem though if you studied. Though I usually never study since there's never a need, I actually did for this test since I had a feeling it was going to be difficult. I look around and I see the slightly panicked looks on the other kids' faces. They were definitely doing better off since they studied at Momo's place/mansion. Still, it was pretty difficult. I'm pretty sure Electric Dunce was just filling in random answers. After 3 hours, the whole class was done. Okay, everyone, I've collected the papers, so you all get free time till lunch so I can go and prep the practical exams. Mr. Aizawa announced. The class cheered at this because now they had free time after those grueling finals. I can finally relax, Mina said with a happy sigh. Take it easy, Kaminari continued with his own happy sigh. And I can finally get information out of you, Ochako shouted as she stood up from her desk and came back to my desk and sat on it so she was facing me.
No.
Why? She complained. If I told you, it wouldn't be a surprise. I replied. Come on, please just tell me. She continued to whine.
No.
Yes. No. Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes. Really? No. She continued to pout at me for not telling her. What are you guys talking about? Sparky called out. He knows what the practical is and won't tell us. Ochako told him with crossed arms while still pouting. Whoa. You do. Kirishima exclaimed in surprise. Wow. That's pretty cool. Zero told me.
Ea ikies.
I said as I got up. But it isn't that big of a deal. Wait, why do you get to know? Kaminari asked. Do I have to spell it out? Am. Better. Than. You. I replied arrogantly. Humph. Geez. He replied while crossing his arms and looking away. You guys still have huge control problems, not to mention you still need to get much stronger if you want to become pros. I'm not saying I'm ready, but I'm definitely ahead. I explained. We eventually headed to lunch where I sat with my friends and girlfriend. So, where's Eri? I asked Ochako in order to initiate small talk. She's getting to meet her new grandparents right now. Ochako exclaimed. Eri should meet my mom soon, I suggested. She's been dying to meet her. That's a great idea. Ochako agreed. I'm sure she'd love that. Yeah, and dash. As I was about to continue my conversation with Ochako, my senses went off. I detected a clumsy elbow coming straight at the back of my head. I got up, caught the elbow with my right hand, slammed him to the table with my left, and took his lunch once again with my right. Something you need, crazy face? I asked. Nito Monoma. Class 1B's resident Class 1A hater. To be fair, none of the first years really like us because we're always in the spotlight, not to mention the fact that I single-handedly embarrassed all of them during the sports festival. So that makes sense, I guess. However, this guy is genuinely insane and we only make it worse. You must think you're so special, don't you? Just because you know something about the final exam. Well, you're not. He yelled in his trademark, mocking voice. As he was rambling on, the rest of the class and I were getting very unnerved at how much this guy hated us. I, however, just chalked it up to insanity. Luckily, we were saved. Suka Kendo, Class 1B's big sister, came and knocked out Monoma. Sorry about that. I really tried to get him to stop. Kendo apologized while rubbing the back of her head. Don't worry about it, Kendo, Chako replied. By the way, about the final exam, I heard it was going to be those robots from the entrance exam, she said. Ha! Ochako shouted as she pointed at me. So that's what it is. My eyes widened at this. Wait, how, when, what? Thanks a bunch, Kendo, Ochako said. No problem, she replied. Never give up. Never give in. Don't listen to them, Kendo, they're evil. They should just go back to where they came from. You hear me? Class 1 scum. Monoma shouted before he was knocked out again by Kendo and dragged away. We stayed silent for a while until I broke it. That dude has some serious issues, I said as the rest of the class nodded their heads as a sign of agreement. Third-person POV. The rest of the class finished their duties and headed towards the training grounds for the final exams. Light conversation sparked on the way, but one person was missing. Deku. He had a different test, so he could not be joining them so soon. They made it to their destination to see the teachers lined up, waiting for them. Good. Everyone's here, Aizawa said. I'm aware that you have some idea of what we're doing here today. We're going to be fighting those big OL robots. Kaminari yelled. Camping trip, here we come. Ishido yelled. The camping trip was the reward for those who finished and passed the final exams. The camp is for the sole purpose of strengthening and training one's quirk, which would, of course, be very beneficial. No, not even close. Mr. Aizawa deadpanned. The two stopped their mini-celebrating immediately. What? They shouted in unison. That's right. A cheerful voice exclaimed. The class looked and saw a bear-slash-dog-slash-mouse-like creature crawl out of Mr. Aizawa's scarf and reveal itself to be Principal Nizu. I decided that we will completely change everything. The tests seemed too easy, so we teachers met up and made a decision. The small creature announced. At first, to make things more difficult, we were going to put you up against the teachers. But then we decided to change it up a little. Now the class was listening intently. What could be worse than the teachers? The one you're facing is... He paused. A voice sang. The class looked and saw a figure falling out of the sky and landing on the ground. After further inspection, the figure revealed itself to be Deku, fully equipped in his hero costume. The class eyes went wide in shock. Deku! Shako breathed out. The one and only. He replied with an excited grin. I did say my test would be a little different. Oh, and by the way, he took off his 2 wristbands and 2 leg bands and dropped them to the ground. You might as well have set off an explosion right then and there, the way the ground erupted from the weight of those small objects. No weights. That means I don't have to hold back. As soon as he said that, everyone had to brace themselves to keep themselves from being pushed back. The pressure Deku was emitting kept growing tenfold every second. The students were getting more and more scared. They felt his power when he's angry, and that is when he's most dangerous, but what they felt before was nowhere near as powerful as what they're experiencing now. Mineta already fainted from the pure power in the air. As the wind died down, the smoke cleared. All you could see was a silhouette of Deku covered in a bright silver light. That light dissolved like weathering rock off of Deku as it revealed his new form. The second level, Ultra Instinct Omen. This time not for only a split second, this time it's for real. You can feel the blue, purple, and white combination of heat radiating off him as his black hair with shades of silver waves in the air, his piercing silver eyes, along with his now black and silver costume. The costume that was designed to change colors once the heat of Deku's quirk reaches a certain level. He looked on at the shocked and intimidated look of his class as he stepped forward and stepped forward again. He walked slowly towards his classmates, power coming off of him in waves as he continued to approach the class. The students couldn't move a muscle. They were rooted in the ground by their own fear. So, Deku began as he was finally in front of the class. That's a wrap for Part 3, Legends. The story is just getting more intense, and I can't wait to bring you even more action. If you're having a blast, hit that like button, subscribe for more insane what-if scenarios, and don't forget to ring the bell so you're always in the loop. Big props to Definitely Not TKJ for their amazing work. Let's give them some serious appreciation. As always, you all are the most legendary community, and I couldn't do this without you. Stay tuned for more Ultra Instinct madness, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay legendary, and peace out.